Chapter 1500. And L equals, J underscore, and L equals, and, unsealed. I didn't say that I didn't have the aptitude to become an emperor. Of course, I can do it. Night Sorrow smiled. Night Sorrow then said that what the Chaos Realm lacked now was to break the shackles. If they couldn't do that, it would be useless no matter how high their aptitude was. Didn't the origin of the Xianhuang world say that we have a passage to the celestial realm? Then there won't be a problem. Datura was more excited. Yes, we know that there should be more than one passage. Yuan Dao Heaven has one too. However, we need to solve the problem of the realm war first, Night Sorrow said. Datura nodded. She knew that the realm war was very important and would affect the Nine Regions world. The Nine Regions world had already moved to the core of the Chaos Realm. The outbreak of the realm war might not hurt the Nine Regions world, but it would affect the situation. Dragon Language arrived at the Demon Blood world and was near the wormhole. Sensing the arrival of Dragon Language, Xia Bing and Lai Bing came out of seclusion and welcomed her into the command tent. After cultivating in the time acceleration treasure for a few years, Lai Bing's doppelganger had recovered and his soul had returned to its original position. However, Xia Bing was still in a bad state. Princess, I'm very sorry about the Tianlan incident. The situation that day was a little special, Xia Bing said. Your Majesty is very unhappy about this matter. However, we need to consider the big picture now. Dragon Language sat down and glanced at Xia Bing. Xia Bing nodded. He knew that Dragon Language wouldn't make things difficult for him. You are half-step emperors while the strongest cultivator on the other side is a heavenly lord. Why did you lose so badly? Dragon Language asked. The other side has an anomaly. Our realm force of heaven and earth suppression is ineffective against him. Therefore, half-step emperors have no advantage against him. Lai Bing shook his head helplessly. When he was at the monarch realm, he already had fighting spirit. The suppression of the force of heaven and earth before he reached the half-imperial realm is useless against him. He has the body of merit. The most terrifying thing is that he has the legendary sovereign attribute, Xia Bing added. Sovereign attribute. Destruction or nihility. Dragon Language's eyes lit up, as if he had seen his prey. Nothingness. It's the void attribute, and it also has the will of time and space. To be honest, even if we understand it, we won't be a match for it. Lai Bing sighed. The sense of defeat this time was too strong, and it was a huge blow to him. Very good. Your Majesty wants to clash with him and see how powerful the void attribute is. Is it as domineering as the destruction attribute? Dragon Language's aura rippled. As long as we take him down, we can win the realm war, Lai Bing said. Wait. Now that the army has just been defeated, immediately starting a war is not good for our morale. Let's get through this buffer period first. Dragon Language expressed his thoughts. She then took a look at Xia Bing, threw him a bottle of pills, and left. She couldn't comfort Xia Bing because mentioning it was like rubbing salt on his wound. Update L new, the fastest 6 fast F, cool, 1 craftsman $H network. Even if a cultivator's achievements were not high, there was still hope as long as they worked hard. No one could be certain about their future achievements. However, his true body was destroyed, and his achievements were fixed. He wouldn't be able to make any more progress. Senior brother, what do you think are the chances of Princess winning against Night Sorrow? Xia Bing looked at Lai Bing and asked. Much higher than us. Princess and he are the same kind of people. Generally speaking, a realm will only give birth to one supreme cultivator. We are not, so our foundation is not enough. Junior brother, you don't have to be too depressed. If you can't increase your realm, I will collect secret techniques for you to increase your combat strength, Lai Bing said. Xia Bing nodded. In his current situation, he could only focus on increasing his combat strength. Night Sorrow and Datura stayed in the VIP tower in Blackwater City. Sometimes, they would go out for a walk, so they had some understanding of Blackwater City and Blackwater World. The Blackwater World group, or rather, the entire Devil Blood world, had maximized the concept of the strong being respected. There was no concept of coexistence. In the Blackwater World group, Black Dragon Lady's dragon language was the absolute authority. There were many forces in the Blackwater World group, but all the heavenly monarchs worked in Blackwater City and had to listen to the dragon language. Those who disobeyed would die. There are no less than 10 heavenly monarchs in Blackwater City. The forces in Blackwater World should be stronger than the Demon Blood World and the Blood Cloud World, Datura said. Black Dragon Lady's dragon language has a high status in the Devil Blood World. First, she is powerful and has strong leadership. Secondly, she is the daughter of the Magic Dragon General. For us, the difficulty of the realm war lies in whether we can deal with the Magic Dragon General and Black Dragon Lady. As for the army war, as long as the tactics and strategies are reasonable, it will not be difficult, Night Sorrow said. I'm guessing that she will look for us soon. I'm guessing that she wants to take us under her wing. We've seen how she does things, said Mandela as she looked at Yi Shang. She wanted to know how Yi Shang would deal with this matter. We will not do things that are humiliating. Although it is for the war and for the chaos realm, to submit to others will damage our luck. We do not need to do that. Night Sorrow said. He had never thought of being a spy under Black Dragon Lady. He came here to see Black Dragon Lady's strength. Night Sorrow and Datura appeared as heavenly monarchs of the heavenly wind realm. They had the qualifications to talk to Black Dragon Lady directly. This was much better than secretly investigating. Because if they were discovered, it would be a direct war. It was not in line with the current situation to start a war in advance without investigating clearly. Okay, if we can't come to an agreement, we will leave. If she does not let us leave, then we will fight. If not, we will run. There is nothing to worry about. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Datura smiled because Night Sorrow's decision resolved her worries. This time, everything was focused on Night Sorrow. However, there were some things that Datura was not willing to do. For example, being a spy and working under Black Dragon Lady was unacceptable to her. Aluo, you are my wife. In my heart, you are the most noble. How can I let you, including me, do something that is humiliating? No one in the world has the right to do that, Night Sorrow said. Yes, without pride, how can we stand in the world? We are not inferior to anyone, so we do not have to look at anyone's face. The heavenly Tao will not care for people with inferior souls. This is not wrong. Datura nodded. She and Night Sorrow had the same philosophy on this point. I understand what you said. I will not do anything that will make my heart and soul uneasy. I also believe that as long as we work hard, no one can suppress us. Night Sorrow held Datura's hand and said, some words are suitable for you, but what about me? I have been working hard, but I am still suppressed by you. Datura looked at Night Sorrow and said slowly. What nonsense are you talking about? What are you thinking about? I really have to hand it to you. Yi Shan was speechless. After dragon language returned from the demon blood world, he summoned Huhu and asked about Night Sorrow and Datura's situation again. I have. There is no problem. Those two are very strong. Huhu said. Search for Cool Craftsman on WeChat, follow the name of the new work, read the full text. L equals, and, said. Chapter 1501. You mean they are very strong? Dragon language frowned. Yes, they look very ordinary, but this subordinate feels a sense of danger. This subordinate has only felt this kind of feeling from a few people before. Huhu said with certainty. Tell me about it. Dragon language nodded at Huhu. In the black water domain, Huhu was the strongest heaven monarch other than herself. Dragon language admitted this. If Huhu felt a sense of danger, it was not simple. I have this feeling from the princess, the chief, and the two commanders, Xia Bing and Lai Bing. It is my intuition, Huhu said after thinking for a while. Haha. Interesting, it seems like there is going to be a battle. Dragon language laughed. What do you mean, princess? Huhu was a little confused. Do you think it is reasonable for two strong heaven monarchs to suddenly appear? If they are ordinary heaven monarchs, it makes sense. Your intuition shows that they are on the same level as your majesty, Xia Bing, and Lai Bing. How can such strength be unknown? Who are you trying to fool? Dragon language snorted. Princess, do you mean that the troops from the primal chaos domain have arrived? After listening to Dragon language's explanation, Huhu understood what Dragon language was trying to say. If your intuition is accurate, then it is correct. Xia Bing is a piece of trash. He brought people to watch the void passageway. How can he not know that someone has snuck in? Dragon language scolded. Princess, my intuition is a gift. It is not wrong. Huhu nodded. That will do. Gather the troops and besiege the VIP tower. Your Majesty will kill them. Your mission is to not let them escape. Dragon language gave the order. Huhu went to make the arrangements. Dragon language wiped the battle sword in his hand. Then, he flashed out of the Blackwater Palace and flew towards the VIP tower. At this time, the heaven monarchs in the Blackwater City had already gathered there. In the VIP building of Blackwater City, Knight Sorrow, who was drinking tea, raised his head and said, Alo, prepare for battle. I don't know what went wrong, but I was discovered. A great battle is unavoidable. Remember, don't resist my spiritual energy. When it's about time, I'll take you into the Clear Sky Divine Pagoda, and we'll leave immediately. This is really strange. This shouldn't be happening. Datura muttered, but she wasn't worried. If Knight Sorrow wanted to leave, it would be difficult for the other party to stop him. Knight Sorrow and Datura returned to their original appearances and walked out of the VIP room. At this moment, there were heaven monarchs and their men waiting around the VIP building. Knight Sorrow did not move. He was here to witness the strength of the Black Dragoness dragon language. If he left now, it would be meaningless. Huhu stood at the main entrance of the VIP building with two heaven monarchs. Good eyesight. Hi, Knight Sorrow, only wanted to secretly investigate, but I didn't escape Brother Knight Sorrow's eyes. Knight Sorrow would like to thank Brother Hu for the wine. Knight Sorrow cupped his hands towards Huhu. No matter what, Huhu was very courteous both times he visited, so Knight Sorrow had to give a response. It's not that this city lord has good eyesight. It's that this city lord has a strong sense of danger. Huhu said. Good style. At this moment, Dragon Language, who was wearing a blue battle suit, appeared. Not bad. Knight Sorrow greets Princess. Knight Sorrow smiled and cupped his hands towards Dragon Language, who was floating in the air. Dragon Language landed in front of the VIP building and asked Knight Sorrow and Datura, why don't you run? Why run? I came this time to see Black Dragoness Dragon Language's style. If I leave without seeing it, wouldn't I lose the meaning of coming? Knight Sorrow said. He had no intention of leaving. It's rare to see such style. Let's not talk about anything else. Your Majesty should prepare the wine first. Dragon Language instructed the people beside him. No need. I, Knight Sorrow, will treat Princess to tea. Knight Sorrow waved his arm and a tea table appeared. Night Sorrow brewed a pot of tea and then waved his arm. 2 cups of tea flew out. One went towards Dragon Language and the other went to Huhu. Then, he handed a cup to Mandela and picked up a cup for himself, slowly taking a sip. Actually, Night Monarch can visit directly. There's no need to go through so much trouble. Huhu, Your Majesty also needs to drink tea in the future. Dragon Language took a sip of tea and said, It's not appropriate to visit directly now. After all, it's wartime. Night Sorrow said with a smile. You killed evil soldier's original body and Lai Bing's doppelganger. Dragon Language looked at Night Sorrow and asked. He was the only one who did it. Stolen edition. Yes. I heard that Princess Dragon Language is the #1 heaven monarch in the Devil Blood domain. Her battle strength is second only to the Chief Magic Dragon General. Night Sorrow came to take a look. Night Sorrow nodded. I won't disappoint you. Originally, everyone who comes is a guest, but during wartime, there's no other way. Dragon Language Princess said. Yes, during wartime, we can talk about wartime matters. Since we've talked and drunk the tea, let's fight. Night Sorrow waved his hand and put away the tea set and tea table. Your Majesty has drunk your tea, but you haven't drunk Your Majesty's wine. Dragon Language waved his arm and 2 jars of wine flew in front of Night Sorrow and Datura. Night Sorrow and Datura didn't stand on ceremony and drank it directly. Since the other party was gracious, they didn't mind. You guys are very gracious and bold. You didn't mention any war or denounce us. Your Majesty didn't want to explain the war either. In fact, at our level, everyone knows that there's no reason in this world. It's all about whose fist is bigger. After the war, if we're all alive, Your Majesty will treat us to wine here. Dragon Language said. Sure, come on. It's best not to let them attack. It's useless. Night Sorrow looked at the heaven monarchs surrounding him and said. How should I put it? Your Majesty doesn't expect them to do anything to Night Sorrow Monarch. As long as Night Sorrow Monarch doesn't leave before defeating Your Majesty, they won't attack. Dragon Language thought for a moment and said. Ha! Good. Night Sorrow laughed. Dragon Language meant that they didn't want him to run. As long as Night Sorrow ran, they would attack him. Let me introduce myself formally. I'm the Blackwater Domain Lord, Dragon Language. After Dragon Language finished his self-introduction, he opened his arm and a black battle blade appeared in his hand. I'm Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow only said his name. At the same time, he reached out with his right hand and took some Sara in his hand. His eyes looked straight at Dragon Language. Night Sorrow knew that the next battle would be between him and the core experts of Devil Blood Domain. If he could win, then the domain war would be much easier. If only one magic dragon general was stronger than him, then his original body and doppelganger would be a deterrent to the other members of the opponent. At this time, Dragon Language's aura exploded. A set of black battle armor appeared outside his blue robe. The energy aura rippled in all directions. Huhu and the others also retreated. Seeing the energy erupting from Dragon Language, Night Sorrow was stunned. Destruction, it was destruction energy. It was much stronger than Sandalwood's destruction energy. Night Sorrow understood why Dragon Language was ranked higher than Fierce Soldier and Evil Soldier even though he wasn't a half-step emperor. It was because his attributes were strong. The willpower in his attributes could resist some of the suppression of the world. Majestic battle intent burst forth. After using the virtuous immortal body to protect himself, Night Sorrow stretched out his right hand and pointed some Sara at Dragon Language. Speak. The second chapter has arrived. Thank you Brother Zhang, ZZZZZ, and Shui Jing for unlocking yesterday's chapter. Today's outburst is to thank everyone for their support. Minimum chapter, target 10 chapters. Well, I'm going to sleep now, After an all-nighter, I'm awake to edit the 3 p.m. update. Chapter 1504. They haven't left yet. They're acting like bosses, even ordering their servants to prepare good wine, Huhu said. That knight's sorrow is very strong. Your Majesty is no match for him. That's something you have to admit. Xia Bing and Lai Bing are even worse. They were lucky to be able to come back alive from the realm of chaos, Dragon Language said. Then what do we do? Are we really going to withdraw from the realm war? Huhu asked. What else can we do? Your Majesty can't possibly go back on her words. Your Majesty has already fallen. Dragon Language glared at Huhu. I understand. But they're going to start a realm war. They'll fight to the death with the head of the realm. The princess will be in a difficult position, Huhu said. What he said was also what Knight Sorrow and Datura were worried about. Do you know why your Majesty left the demon blood world after breaking through to become a king? It's because your Majesty's bloodline awakened when she became a king. After her bloodline awakened, she learned some things. If you weren't involved, you would never understand. Take your Majesty's memory crystal ball and send it to the Magic Dragon Palace. Dragon Language took out a crystal ball and recorded some words in front of Huhu. She said that if the demon blood world was destroyed or if something else happened, the Magic Dragon Palace should come to the water world. Huhu held the crystal ball and looked at Dragon Language, still confused. Why do you have so many ideas? The head of the realm is an Emperor Realm Cultivator. It's fine if he can be killed, but if he can't win, he can at least retreat. Just do as your Majesty says, Dragon Language said. After Huhu left, Dragon Language closed her eyes and began to ponder. There were many things that she had been hiding in her heart all this time. The most important thing was the secret that she had learned after awakening her bloodline. Dragons were orthodox dragons. Other dragons might have the bloodline of dragons, but not the evil dragon. The evil dragon was an anomaly among dragons. Their bloodline had already mutated, so the offspring of the evil dragon could only be an evil dragon. The Dragon Language didn't know where she really came from, but she definitely didn't have the bloodline of the Magic Dragon General. So after entering the king's realm, she left the demon blood world. Long Yu left the devil blood great world and went to the water great world to cultivate in seclusion. After rising up, she became the strongest expert in the water great world and ruled over a world. However, this was not her goal. Her goal was to become an Emperor Realm Cultivator. Only then could she investigate some things. While Knight Sorrow and Datura were drinking tea, Dragon Language arrived in a loose blue robe. Look at Chapter S5, Section E. I heard from my subordinates that you are like a big boss and very hard to serve. Dragon Language sat across from Knight Sorrow and Datura. The wine is not nice, and you don't let people talk about it. Datura said with some dissatisfaction. It seems like the princess is in a good state. Knight Sorrow said with a smile. What else can I do? Do you think I can't live if I cry every day after losing once? Dragon Language took the teapot in front of Knight Sorrow and poured a cup of tea for herself. Knight Sorrow didn't say anything. He knew that Dragon Language came today because she had something to say. Dragon Language looked at Knight Sorrow, but Knight Sorrow didn't say anything. Isn't it just winning once? What's so great about that? Didn't you say your Majesty can make decisions for the Chaos Realm? Dragon Language asked when Knight Sorrow didn't say anything. Sort of. Knight Sorrow thought for a moment and said, sort of. What do you mean sort of? Your Majesty has to listen carefully. Dragon Language frowned when he heard Knight Sorrow's words. Because Knight Sorrow said that, there was no way to continue the conversation. The matters of the primal chaos realm should be discussed by everyone. No one can directly make the decisions. Of course, if others don't listen to my opinion, I can choose not to participate. At the very least, some people will stand on my side, Ishan said. Then if the water world doesn't participate in the realm war, can you guarantee that your people won't attack them? Dragon Language asked. There are some things that Night Sorrow can't say, but I can. In fact, Night Sorrow is the commander of the Chaos Realm. He just doesn't want this title. If he says they won't attack the water world, then most people won't come. If anyone doesn't give him face and comes to attack, then you kill them. Simple. Datura said. Simple and violent. Actually, according to your Majesty's information, other than you, your wife, senior apprentice brother, and a few other people in the Chaos Realm are strong. The others aren't that strong. Well, you're his wife. Dragon Language looked at Night Sorrow and then carefully sized up Datura. That's right. I'm Datura. Datura nodded. You have a good personality and are close to your Majesties. Since that's the case, then tell us what your Majesty thinks. The water world doesn't have to fight, but they may accept others. Because if they lose the realm war, the demon blood world will be destroyed, and one person may be transferred in, Dragon Language said. If you talk like that, then it's boring. This is the attitude of someone who can afford to lose. The water world will accept others, including those who have lost. Then this place will become their headquarters. They'll reorganize and then fight us. If they lose, they'll come back to reorganize and then fight again. Datura was a little angry. Why are you so impatient? Your Majesty didn't finish speaking. Your Majesty will only accept everyone once. In other words, if they go to the water world to fight again, your Majesty won't accept them again. Accepting them once is your Majesty's responsibility as a member of the demon blood world. Once you've done your duty, your Majesty won't care about anything else, Dragon Language said. Including your father? Night Sorrow asked. Yes. Your Majesty will do what he should and won't care about anything else. Do you think I can afford to lose like this? Dragon Language said. Okay, it's decided, Night Sorrow said. Okay. After you leave this time, don't come back until the realm war is over, Dragon Language said. You're really not polite, Datura snorted. It's nothing. The realm war won't last too long. If we want to walk around, we can come anytime, Night Sorrow said to Datura. You're very confident. Dragon Language looked at Night Sorrow and frowned. Yes, Night Sorrow said. I don't know where your confidence comes from. Dragon Language took a sip of tea, his eyes never leaving Night Sorrow. It's from the princess. Night Sorrow smiled. Dragon Language wasn't the only one who didn't understand Night Sorrow's words. Datura was also confused. Princess, if you think the demon blood world and the blood cloud world have the strength to win the war, you wouldn't have accepted them. You decided to accept people from the water great world because you felt that they couldn't win. Night Sorrow stated his conclusion. Night Sorrow, her father is an emperor cultivator. We still have to go and find out more, Datura said in a low voice. If we're talking about who knows the magic dragon the best, it's of course Princess Dragon Language. Based on her temper, if the magic dragon general is powerful, she'll say that including her father is obviously not. She'll say that if you're not convinced, you can go and try, Night Sorrow said. Chapter 1505. Originally, there were some things that were unknown to the public, and only a limited number of people knew about them. Many years ago, the magic dragon general had once attacked the primal chaos realm, but was stopped by the human emperor. At that time, he was not yet an emperor realm cultivator, and as a result, he suffered a great loss and his origin was damaged. After retreating to the devil blood realm, the magic dragon general entered the emperor realm while healing, but his origin was still not recovered. Currently, he was thinking about how to repair his origin. If he did not repair his origin, he would not be able to advance any further. Therefore, Dragon Language knew that it would be difficult for the Magic Dragon General to do anything to Night Sorrow even if he came out of seclusion. Dragon Language felt that the Magic Dragon General's actual combat strength was stronger than hers, but not by much. At most, he was on par with Night Sorrow, or at most a bit stronger. Because of this, there were some flaws in her words. This small, almost undetectable flaw was caught by Night Sorrow. Welcome. As long as you don't interfere or affect the trend of the realm war, you can go now. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Dragon Language was a person who could afford to lose. He believed in Dragon Language's character. Night Sorrow was also very happy. Dragon Language did not refute, which proved that his guess was right. Your Majesty needs to find a passage to the celestial realm. He often travels to various realms. Perhaps he can find something in your primal chaos realm. Dragon Language said. She really wanted to go to the primal chaos realm. Normally speaking, your devil blood realm should have a passage to the celestial realm, right? Night Sorrow said. There is, but your Majesty has not had the chance to use it. I won't say much today. You should leave after resting. Don't come back until the realm war is over. Night Sorrow, your Majesty does not want to talk to you anymore. Dragon Language stood up and roared at Night Sorrow. She realized that she couldn't speak to Night Sorrow when she was an opponent. She regretted what she had just said because she had revealed something else. After Dragon Language left, Night Sorrow took out a jar of wine and poured a glass for himself and Datura. Let's celebrate. We've been waiting for some good news. I have to say, your brain works really fast. You even noticed some details that others didn't notice. It seems that the Magic Dragon General situation isn't as difficult to deal with as we thought. Also, I discovered that the relationship between the Dragon Language and the Magic Dragon General is somewhat subtle, Datura said. That should be the case. At present, I still have the Interrealm Teleportation Crystal. It is not difficult to use the King Grade Teleportation Crystal to connect the Demon Blood World to the Black-Yellow Great World. Then, we can connect it to the Blood Cloud Great World. After that, we can start the war, Night Sorrow said after taking a sip of wine. He was the only one on the I-1 network. Everyone else /is X-pirated V. Well, I just came out with you for a walk. You can make all the decisions. Datura nodded. She really felt that she came out with Night Sorrow to have fun. Night Sorrow would handle everything properly. Then, Night Sorrow and Datura left the VIP building in the Water City. After changing their clothes slightly, they returned to the Demon Blood World. After leaving the Demon Blood City, Night Sorrow and Datura entered the vast wilderness. Then, they found an area suitable for hoarding troops and defense. Then, they set up a teleportation formation to connect it to the United Army camp of the Black-Yellow Great World. Then, they set up a defensive formation and an illusory formation. After setting up the stronghold, Night Sorrow and Datura were teleported back to the Black-Yellow Great World. However, Night Sorrow's doppelganger stayed behind. Someone had to watch the teleportation formation. Seeing Night Sorrow come back, the Lords of Heaven of the Chaotic Realm were very happy. When they arrived at the command tent, Night Sorrow told them about the investigation after entering the Demon Blood World and the agreement he made with Dragon Language. Night Sorrow, you can make these decisions directly. You are now the Commander-in-Chief of the United Army, Lord of Heaven God who said. It's better for everyone to discuss. Night Sorrow smiled. Night Sorrow, you don't have to decline this. Everyone has their own considerations. Relying on us old guys won't solve any problems. Tang Jianfang also expressed his attitude. Night Sorrow, tell us your opinion and decision. Qing Emperor said. He fully supported Night Sorrow, but he didn't say it. Because he was the master, he wanted to avoid arousing suspicion. I have already set up the stronghold over there. I have also set up a simple defensive formation. In order to prevent the enemy's diviners from destroying it in advance, our men must enter as soon as possible. As long as our men arrive, they won't be afraid of divining anything. At worst, it will be a hard battle, Night Sorrow said. Then let's start the teleportation. 2 people will stay here. The rest will go over and defend the stronghold first. The integration of the men can be carried out at the stronghold over there. We will strengthen the stronghold while preparing for war, Tang Jianfeng said. Okay, that's a good idea. Qing Emperor nodded. My doppelganger is already there. Everyone can make the arrangements. Now, I want to go home and see my wife and children, Night Sorrow said with a smile. You are really bold to say that you miss your other wives in front of Aluo, Lord of Heaven Precious Fragrance said with a smile. Night Sorrow is a member of the Gu family. The other sisters don't have it easy either. Datura smiled. He didn't mind this matter. When Night Sorrow's original body was at home, she would push Night Sorrow to others. After leaving the Allied Army's tent with Datura, Night Sorrow went to the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. He wanted to ask the origin of the Xuanhuan Great World if there was anything he needed to avoid or do before the Realm War started. As soon as Night Sorrow arrived at the Heaven and Earth Pavilion, the origin of the Xuanhuan Great World appeared and welcomed Night Sorrow and Datura into the Heaven and Earth Pavilion with a smile. The origin of the Xuanhuan Great World brought Night Sorrow and Datura to a more comfortable space in the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. A match made in heaven. The sage and his wife are really a match made in heaven. In addition, the sage's trip to the Devil Blood Realm should be very smooth, right? Yes, it's going rather smoothly. In order to completely resolve the danger that the Devil Blood domain poses to us, we will launch a counterattack. Does Senior have any advice for this junior? Yi Shang nodded and asked. We won't plunder anything. In fact, as long as the realm war goes smoothly, the Chaos Realm will be blessed with the Heavenly Way's fate. You can make the arrangements as you see fit. Remember to be careful. Safety is important. The origin of the Xuanhuan Great World nodded to Night Sorrow. Then, Night Sorrow and Datura left the Xuanhuan Great World. After leaving the Xuanhuan Great World and arriving at Nine Region City, Datura muttered, so stingy. I'm your wife, but he didn't give me any treasures or anything. Of Luo, the origin of the world is the life of the Heavenly Way. It doesn't have many emotions and does things according to its own rules. How could it give you treasures just because you're my wife? Night Sorrow said with a smile. Datura smiled and nodded. She was just joking. Night Sorrow's return made the whole family very happy. During the family reunion banquet, Yi Xiaoluo and Yi Xiaolei went to Night Sorrow's side and sat with one on each side. The whole family was very happy and harmonious. At this time, in the Water Realm, Huhu had returned to report that he had arrived at the Magic Dragon Palace. However, he did not see the Magic Dragon General. He had only asked the chief steward of the Magic Dragon Palace for the Dragon Language Memory Crystal. Huhu, our Water Realm will not participate in this realm war, the Dragon Language said to Huhu. In the Water Realm, the Dragon Language was actually the overseer. Some things were managed by Huhu. Chapter 1506. Do you really want to know? Dragon Language looked at Huhu. Not really. I just don't understand, Huhu said. Then let me tell you. Inaccurate information kills people. Night Sorrow is not the virtuous saint but the virtuous great saint. When I attacked him with the dragon flame of destruction, his protective golden light shook, and a part of the dragon flame of destruction's power disappeared. Why? Because the virtuous great saint is a monarch. Even king's level of energy can't hurt him. Cultivators of the same level are no match for him. Even if your majesty is a heavenly lord of destruction, his attack power will be weakened, dragon language said. Virtuous great saint. But Tianlan and the others are talking about the virtuous great saint. These fools, their information is inaccurate, Hu said with a frown. Inaccurate information was indeed a trap. You saw his combat power that day. Your majesty used all his strength, but your majesty doesn't know if he used all his strength. He showed mercy, so why can't we go through? Dragon language said. But the chief. Is it appropriate for us to do this? Hu didn't understand dragon language's way of doing things. This was equivalent to not being on the same side as the magic dragon general. You don't have to ask about this. Your majesty is the master of Blackwater realm. He's only responsible for the stability of Blackwater realm. Your majesty doesn't care about anything else. Just follow your majesty's instructions. Dragon language waved his hand. Then I'll make the arrangements. Hu nodded. Hu, you've been with your majesty for a long time. No matter how this world changes, your majesty will take you and protect you, even if one day you have to leave this place and go to another world, dragon language said. In the demon blood world, the person she trusted the most was Hu. He was more of a friend than a subordinate. Hu nodded and left the Blackwater Palace to handle some matters. As the actual ruler and manager of a world, Hu was a smart person. He noticed that the relationship between the dragon language and the magic dragon general was a little strange, but since the dragon language didn't want to talk about it, he didn't ask. All he needed to do was to arrange things for the dragon language. When they arrived at the Blackwater City Lord residence, Hu gathered all the heavenly monarchs and leaders of the forces and announced the decision of the dragon language. Everyone was surprised and looked at Hu. We are the heaven monarchs of the Blackwater Great World. We are in charge of the Blackwater Great World's affairs. We'll do whatever the princess tells us to do. Everyone, please remember that we are the princess subordinates. Since they aren't attacking Blackwater World, we shouldn't seek trouble for ourselves. That's how it is, Hu said. The other heavenly monarchs nodded. Since the dragon language said so, they would do as they were told. Release some spies. We need to know what is going on outside. Also, we need to record the people from other worlds. We will only allow them to seek refuge once. Don't treat us Blackwater Great World as fools. We can't let the princess bear the name of disbelief, Hu said. At that moment, in the magic dragon palace of the demon blood world, an old man in a red battle robe appeared and sat on the throne. There was a red crack between the old man's eyebrows. His face was full of anger. He was the magic dragon general, the leader of the demon blood realm. What's the matter by crushing this king's messaging crystal? Don't you know that this king is in seclusion? The magic dragon general was displeased. His true body was in seclusion to cultivate his realm while his clone was cultivating his ultimate skill. The one who came out now was his clone. The princess sent someone to deliver a memory crystal ball. Also, the realm lord hasn't read the battle report about the realm war, a woman with green hair said. She was the magic dragon palace's manager, Shi Yi. After reading the message crystal ball in the dragon language, the magic dragon general smashed it to pieces. The anger on his face was even more intense. Shi Yi was so scared that she didn't dare to say anything. Evil creature, you really think you're all grown up, the magic dragon general scolded. When the dragon language left the demon blood world to explore, the magic dragon general only felt that it was strange at first. Later, he realized that something was wrong. By the time he realized that something was wrong, the dragon language's wings had already grown up. There were some things that the magic dragon general knew best. He originally thought that the dragon language would never know, but after the dragon language established itself and never returned to the demon blood world, the magic dragon general came to understand some things. The dragon language might have already noticed, but even so, he couldn't do anything because some things couldn't be brought up on the table. Now that he saw the dragon language crystal ball, he was even more furious. However, he still couldn't do anything. He couldn't touch his daughter on the surface. Besides, there was the problem of strength. He was also afraid of the dragon language's strength. The magic dragon general might have an advantage over other cultivators due to his racial talent, but he was at a disadvantage in front of the dragon language. They were both dragons, and the dragon language had the right bloodline for dragons, so it had a suppressive effect on the side branches. Then, the magic dragon general listened to Shi Ye's report about the previous realm war. 2 pieces of trash. The other side didn't have any half-step Imperial realm cultivators. One of their clones was killed, and the other was killed, the magic dragon general roared angrily. The Demon Blood Legion, Sky Fiend Legion, and Realm Lord Lai Bing's Blood Cloud Legion are all stationed in Demon Sealing City to defend, Shi said. What's the point of defending? We'll fight our way over first. This king will personally lead a team over there. The magic dragon general glared at Shi Yi. Realm Lord, you saw the princess's message in the crystal ball. It was the princess's decision after she was defeated. The other side might have already sent people into the demon blood realm, Shi said. Then, Shi reported in detail about the realm war and what happened in the Blackwater world. The realm lord that Shi mentioned was the realm lord. It was a world of difference from the realm lords of the Eastern Xian realm and the Taiqing realm. Let's go. We'll set up camp in Forbidden City. No matter how many of them come, this king will kill them all. The magic dragon general's murderous aura rippled in all directions. After Night Sorrow had dinner with his family, he chatted casually with his parents and old Mr. Gu. Son, I don't understand your world, but you have to be careful. Our family is very stable now, and everything is going well. It's not good outside. If there are difficulties, we will come back. Yu Qing said. Mother, don't worry. Night Sorrow smiled and nodded. After staying at home for a few days, Night Sorrow and Datura set off. Wu Lingfei's original body was cultivating in the sub-body of the Haogian godly pagoda, and her avatar also left with Night Sorrow. When Night Sorrow arrived at the Alliance camp of the Sea King's palace, he realized that most of the troops had disappeared. The ones overseeing this place were actually Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord, whom he had not seen for a while. Other than him, there were also Misty Rain and Heavenly Lord Precious Fragrance. Update soonest, Lord Heavenly Lord is here. Night Sorrow cupped his hands at Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord. Night Sorrow, I haven't seen you for a while, but your name has already shaken the world. After the victory of the Border Region War, Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord's situation has improved a lot. This seat's avatar is here. Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord smiled. Night Sorrow introduced Wu Lingfei to Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord and his 2 companions. Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord and his 2 companions were very polite and respectful. Regardless of cultivation, Wu Lingfei was someone that Night Sorrow valued, and that was enough. Say the 7th watch has arrived. Chapter 1507. Qing Emperor, City Lord Tang, and the others have all gone to your stronghold. This place will be guarded by me, Yu Fei, and Liu Xiang, the 2 heavenly lords. Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord said. Then I'll have to trouble you here. I'll go there too. Night Sorrow said. He knew that this place was very safe because there weren't many people on the other side of the void tunnel. It was mainly for defense. Okay, I'll inform you immediately if anything happens. Even if they attack, this sealing array can hold them off for a while. Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord nodded. Night Sorrow took Datura and Wu Lingfei to the stronghold he had set up in the Demon Blood world through the teleportation array. The stronghold was located in the Demon Blood world's Thousand Blades Mountain. It wasn't far from Demon Blood City. Night Sorrow saw Misty Rain beside Qing Emperor. Night Sorrow knew that it might be a doppelganger, but he couldn't tell without checking. Of course, he couldn't check casually as it was impolite. The original body and the doppelganger were in two different battlefields. This was the fastest way to transmit information. If something happened at the Void Tunnel in the Sea King's palace, they would know immediately. The Yuanchu army was also there. When they saw Night Sorrow, Yu Feng ran to Night Sorrow to report. After greeting everyone, Night Sorrow went to the Nine Heavens Army's stronghold and set up a tent. When Night Sorrow wanted to set up a tent for Wu Lingfei, she refused. She wanted to find Linglong and Nan Liyue. Night Sorrow thought about it and felt that it was okay. Wu Lingfei was very familiar with the members of the God-slaying team. After bringing Wu Lingfei to the God-slaying team's stronghold, Night Sorrow called Long Jin, Liang Yu, Yun Huang, and Qin Jin. Aunt Fei wants to go out for a walk. She'll stay with you for the time being. You have to take care of what happens next, Night Sorrow said. 13th brother, don't worry. If you want us to live, we won't let anything happen to Aunt Fei. Tianyu knew what kind of relationship Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei had. And all of you, don't be stupid. This is a realm war, so be careful. Night Sorrow looked at the group before him and said. The most Q knew, previous carrot, actually, regardless of whether it's a realm war, or a war between forces, what we need to do is to eliminate our opponents. Those who stand in our way will be cut down. It's that simple, Long Jin said. You guys have won. I can't be bothered to talk about you guys anymore. Call me if you need anything. Feeling somewhat helpless, Night Sorrow turned and left. He knew that this was the God-slaying squad, and that they had the fighting spirit of tigers and wolves. After returning to his tent, Night Sorrow and Datura discussed the current situation. Ah Luo, we can confirm that there might be a problem between the dragon language and the magic dragon general. Can a diviner divine it? Night Sorrow suddenly had an idea. We can try that. Datura felt that this method was feasible. Just as the two of them were talking, Qian Qiangwei and Qian Yu arrived. You guys chat. I'll go talk to the others. Datura stood up and left the tent. She was going to find the other heavenly monarchs to ask for a diviner. Greetings, Captain. Qian Qiangwei and Qian Yu cupped their hands at Night Sorrow. The two of you are so boring. I let you join the God-slaying squad because I want you to gain more experience and achieve more, not because I want to lose friends. Qian Yu, aren't we brothers? Qiangwei, you called yourself second sister back then. After hearing Qian Qiangwei and Qian Yu's words, Night Sorrow was very unhappy. Hee. You're a little reserved. Night Sorrow is like this. My eldest sister came out of the Nine Heavens Pagoda. After knowing our situation, she also wanted to come, Qian Yu said. Eldest sister entered the Nine Heavens Pagoda because of a fortuitous encounter. In the end, her achievements now are inferior to the two of us. Qian Qiangwei patted her brother's shoulder and said. After Qian Qiangwei and Qian Yu entered the God-slaying squad, their cultivation rose extremely rapidly. They crossed the original bottleneck and their cultivation rose in a straight line. They were both 2-star king. Come on. You know the rules. After bringing eldest sister here, greet Long Jin and the rest. Night Sorrow said. All right. When the war is over, second sister will cook a table of food and wine for you. Qian Qiangwei said. After exiting the tent, Qian Yu and Qian Qiangwei walked towards the teleportation array. Father and mother didn't give birth to a brother for me, but the heavens sent one. Perhaps this is the greatest blessing in my life. Qian Yu said somewhat emotionally. Not long after Qian Yu and Qian Qiangwei left, Datura brought Qing Emperor, Tang Jianfeng, and the rest into Night Sorrow's tent. Master, City Lord Tang, everyone sit. Night Sorrow invited everyone to sit. Then, he took out a cup of soul tea. War is war, but good tea still needs to be drunk. We know what you're thinking. It's hard to say if this can be divined, but we can try. Qing Emperor said. Lord Heavenly Lord, if you want to divine, you need a medium. In other words, you need something related to the other party. A man brought by Tang Jianfeng said. That's not easy. That's an opponent, and a strong one at that. It's not easy to come into contact with her. Hearing the requirements, Night Sorrow was a little conflicted. There is. That day when you were fighting, she dropped a scale and it splashed to my side. Datura took out a shining black scale. That's enough. Everyone can wait for the results. The fortune teller bowed to everyone in the tent and then left the tent. The army's integration is almost complete. The joint attack array formation is also very mature, Qing Emperor said. Everyone has to cultivate the joint attack array formation. War is about strength. Another thing is information. With accurate information, we can make the right judgment and decision, Night Sorrow said. Upon hearing Night Sorrow's words, Tang Jianfeng smiled awkwardly. We've been in the midst of setting up defenses and integrating. This matter hasn't been settled yet. We'll immediately release the spies of each army. The main ones are the Demon Blood World and the Blood Cloud Great World. Don't send anyone from the Black Water Great World. Night Sorrow reminded them. Everything that followed proceeded in an orderly manner. Night Sorrow's main body entered the Haotian Divine Pagoda to cultivate because there was still the spacetime will to deduce. In addition, the fourth drop of soul cultivation fluid in his divine sea had not been completely refined. On this day, Dragon Language, who was listening to Huhu's report, stood up. Something doesn't feel right. It seems like someone has done something to your majesty. By the way, you said that there's no movement at all. There's no movement at all. The chief has appeared and gone to Demon Sealing City. However, he hasn't launched an attack, Huhu said. There's no movement. That means we haven't found anything yet. Night Sorrow must have begun his deployment. A storm will come soon, Dragon Language said as he looked at the sky outside the Blackwater Palace. Princess, are you sure? Huhu asked. Yes. Unfortunately, the Demon Blood domain hasn't been alerted. When the other party launches an attack, everything will be passive. However, Your Majesty said that he won't participate in the domain war, so he won't participate. Dragon Language paced back and forth in the Blackwater Palace. He just felt that something was wrong. At this time, at the top of Thousand Blades Mountain, the diviner of Xianhuang City was performing a divination. He said. The first update. I'll try my best to update 2 more times before 10 o'clock. Chapter 1508. As the clairvoyant used his divination technique, scenes appeared one after another, which were then recorded in the crystal ball. After recording the results of the divination, the clairvoyant took the crystal ball and found Tang Jianfeng. Tang Jianfeng took the crystal ball to Night Sorrow's tent. After activating the crystal ball, Night Sorrow, Datura, and the others watched it carefully. The scenes in the crystal ball were illusory, followed by the scene of an ancient tree towering into the sky. There was a huge egg with patterns on it in a cave in the forest. Then, a human figure appeared and took the egg away. Then the egg hatched, and a little girl appeared. Then, it was the little girl's growth. The scene passed very quickly, and the last scene was the battle between Night Sorrow and Draconic Whisper. Night Sorrow destroyed a scale on Draconic Whisper's body. Night Sorrow, the dragon language is not the magic dragon general's daughter. It was stolen. Datura looked at Night Sorrow, his eyes full of shock. So, there is a gap between the dragon language and the magic dragon general. The magic dragon general stole their child, separating them from their flesh and blood. The dragon language should have discovered something, Night Sorrow said. If that's the case, we can basically ignore the dragon language's influence on the realm war, Qing Emperor said. Night Sorrow, the information you received from your trip to the Devil Blood realm is very accurate and effective. If this continues, we will be facing the strength of two great worlds. Last time, in the battle of our black-yellow great world, their legions suffered heavy losses, and the two legions' commanders were also seriously injured. So, the only resistance we have now is their leader, the Magic Dragon General, Qing Emperor said. We don't know how strong the Magic Dragon General is, but according to what we know now, he won't be too strong. But there is one thing we can't ignore. The Magic Dragon General can steal the egg of the dragon's offspring. This means that his knowledge and experience must be much greater than ours. He can come into contact with things we can't, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. Yes, sometimes experience and methods can change the outcome. We must be careful. Qing Emperor looked at Night Sorrow and nodded. His disciple's cautiousness made him feel more at ease. He is an evil dragon. Last time, Master, you were poisoned by an evil dragon, Poison Centipede. We know what kind of methods he has. If we are not careful, we will be at a disadvantage. Night Sorrow said. The others nodded. Caution was the parent of safety. One careless mistake could lead to death. No one wanted such a thing to happen. After chatting for a while, everyone dispersed. Night Sorrow, you will have to deal with the Magic Dragon General in the end. Nothing must go wrong. We don't know how powerful the flames and poison centipede of an evil dragon at the Imperial level are, Datura said. Yes, we don't know. Because of our background and our level, our horizons are limited. Night Sorrow nodded. In the following days, Night Sorrow's original body cultivated while his doppelganger watched the legions reorganize. He also went to watch Qing Emperor and the others set up the defensive formation. This place would become the base of the realm war. It could not be hidden from others and could be easily attacked. So, defense was the most important thing. After returning from the god-slaying team's camp, Night Sorrow fell into deep thought. Night Sorrow, what are you thinking about? Datura asked. That dragon language is of the destruction attribute, but it is not complete. When she fought against me, she was suppressed. If she has the complete destruction attribute, then she can help the demon blood world's origin overcome the danger of destruction. Night Sorrow gave his analysis. There are many branches of the supreme attribute. Fire, wind, and so on. It is very difficult to have a perfect supreme attribute. It depends on the level of your innate talent. If the level is low, you will have to slowly comprehend it. Datura said. Actually, she was also thinking about this problem. The death attribute also contained the destruction attribute. Knowing that the evil dragon's poison was tyrannical, Night Sorrow worked hard every day to cultivate the virtuous indestructible avatar. The virtuous indestructible avatar's defense was extremely strong. It could be said that it was immune to all poisons. Night Sorrow wanted to improve. After being divined by the divination master, dragon language calmed down. That mysterious influence was no longer present. I forgot to ask that bastard Night Sorrow for a method. Right now, they are hiding very deeply. They are in a state of war. We can't find anything. There is no way to find him, dragon language said. Princess, do you want to find a divination master to do a divination? Ho asked. Chapter D, Section 1, Part 08. Alright, we'll do as you say. Divine where he is. Your Majesty also wants to see just what he is playing at. Dragon language nodded. Huhu's idea was very much to her liking. Huhu went to do some work. There were 2 divination masters in Water City's City Lord's residence. Huhu randomly grabbed one and went to the VIP building. He found the traces that Night Sorrow had left behind and began the divination. Night Sorrow did not deliberately hide anything, so it was easily divined. The location and situation of the Allied Army's main camp were recorded in a memory crystal ball by the divination master. Holding the memory crystal ball, Huhu went to Water Palace and handed the crystal ball to Dragon Language. After taking a look, Draconic let out a sigh of relief. As expected, they're preparing for battle. Or rather, they're already prepared for battle. So fast. Huhu was also surprised. They have already investigated the Devil Blood Domain situation. Naturally, they are prepared to attack. Therefore, the Devil Blood Domain is already at a disadvantage. Their allied army's main camp should be at Thousand Edge Mountain. Alright, just pretend that you don't know about this. Your Majesty should go. If he knows about this, he should be provoked. Dragon Language said. Princess, please be careful. Huhu nodded. Arrange for the Heavenly Lords to guard the teleportation array. They can come in, but don't let them come in again. Dragon Language said. After instructing Huhu, Dragon Language's body flashed and left Water Palace. She went to the teleportation array and teleported to Devil Blood City. Then, she flew towards Thousand Edge Mountain. Because of the memory crystal ball as a marker, Dragon Language did not have to spend much effort to find the location of the Chaos Realm's allied army. Standing at the top of Thousand Edge Mountain and looking down at the Chaos Realm's allied army, Dragon Language shook her head. She could naturally see that there was an extremely powerful defensive array outside the allied army. It was not that easy to break through. After watching for a while, Dragon Language thought for a moment and then took a deep breath. Night Sorrow, Night Sorrow. She shouted in Dragon Language. Her voice was like an energy wave that rippled in all directions. The first to receive it was the Chaos Realm's allied army's main camp. Night Sorrow, who was meditating, opened his eyes. Datura, who was meditating beside him, was looking at him. It's Dragon Language. I didn't expect her to find this place. I don't know what she wants. I'll go take a look. Night Sorrow said. Alright, go take a look. But now is not the time for conflict. Datura reminded Night Sorrow. When Night Sorrow arrived at Thousand Edge Mountain, Dragon Language was studying the memory crystal ball. Chapter 1509. Whether or not your Majesty is going to participate in the realm war. Don't you think you're meddling too much? Dragon Language said as he tossed the crystal ball in his hand. Fine. What can I do about it? Night Sorrow realized that Dragon Language was an unruly woman. What does your Majesty want? How much do you think this crystal ball is worth? If your Majesty finds someone to give it to Xia Bing, Lai Bing, and the others, it shouldn't be cheap. However, we've drunk wine and tea together before, so your Majesty wants to give it to you first, Dragon Language said as he looked at the crystal ball in his hand. Aren't you threatening me? Night Sorrow said with a smile. Look at the RR of Q1 inch, how can you say that? Your Majesty thinks that it's useful to you, so you should spend some money to buy it. Dragon Language's face was filled with an expression of wanting to help Night Sorrow. Sigh. Actually, there's something that I've always kept in my heart. Now that I think about it, it's not a bad choice. In your words, we've drunk wine and tea together before, so I'll give it to you first. Night Sorrow took out the memory crystal ball of Dragon Language's origin and activated it. The image in the crystal ball continued to flow. Draconic kept watching until the image ended. You despicable person. After watching it, Dragon Language was not as hysterical as Night Sorrow imagined. Instead, he was very calm. Do you want to buy it? Night Sorrow asked with a smile. No. Your Majesty isn't afraid. Your Majesty dares to stop Water World from participating in the realm war. Do you think your Majesty will be afraid of this? Your Majesty has entered King's realm and awakened his bloodline and knows some things. He didn't fall out with me because he raised me. I didn't fall out with him, but that doesn't mean that I'm afraid of falling out with him, Dragon Language said. I'm sorry. I was too impulsive. I shouldn't have rubbed salt on your wound, Night Sorrow said apologetically. It's nothing. You didn't take it out, didn't use it to make us fall out, didn't use it to start a war. Dragon Language, appreciate it, Dragon Language said. It's good that you know that. A gentleman knows what to do and what not to do. Night Sorrow, would never do such a despicable thing. Night Sorrow waved his hand and threw the crystal ball to Dragon Language. Do you want grand air? Dragon Language pointed at the crystal ball in his hand and asked. There's no point. This place is impregnable. We're not afraid of anyone who wants to attack us. However, I'm thankful that you didn't expose us in the past. Night Sorrow took out a jar of wine and tossed it to Dragon Language. That's true. Don't misunderstand. Your Majesty didn't mean to threaten you. He was just curious about what you were doing. He wanted to make some good tea with the crystal ball and play with you. Are you going to give him the tea? Dragon Language looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Here. You're practically a bandit. Night Sorrow took out a bag of tea and tossed it to Dragon Language. That's enough. Your Majesty said that you're not allowed to go to the water world before the realm war ends. You're not a petty person. If you want to go, go. However, be careful. If your Majesty is in a bad mood one day, he'll kill you. Dragon Language made a throat-slitting gesture and then left in a flash. After Dragon Language left, Qing Emperor, Tang Jianfeng, and Sky Lord Shin Hu went to Night Sorrow's side. Qing Emperor looked in the direction that Dragon Language left and thought for a moment. He then turned to Night Sorrow and said, I heard your conversation. Under normal circumstances, she shouldn't have disrupted our plans. Probably not. She's not a petty person. Night Sorrow nodded and said. Then, they returned to the command tent. Datura had also arrived. Night Sorrow, news is constantly coming back. We're gathering information. When we have enough information, we'll formulate a war plan. I'll leave this matter to you. Tang Jianfeng said. City Lord Tang, let's discuss this matter. Night Sorrow said with a smile. That won't do. In terms of army leadership, tactics, and strategic arrangements, we're far inferior to you. This matter must be done by you. You can't refuse. Sky Lord Shin Hu said. Night Sorrow nodded helplessly. Since everyone said so, he couldn't refuse. Luo, go to the 9 grand floors and bring Xuanji here. Let her handle all the information. She'll know what I need and what I don't. Night Sorrow said to Datura. Okay, I'll go get her. Datura nodded. I've heard about your 9 Heavens Army's female strategist. Tang Jianfeng said. After Jun Xuanji came, Night Sorrow specially set up a tent for him and put him in charge of all the information and intelligence. Qing Emperor and the others continued to strengthen the stronghold's defenses. After the war began, this place would be exposed and might be attacked by the enemy. Night Sorrow went to the Blood Cloud Great World once and set up a teleportation array. This meant that they could attack the Blood Cloud Great World at any time. Half a month after Jun Xuanji came, he brought a stack of information to Night Sorrow's tent. Xuanji, you've worked hard this time. When it comes to war, I feel that working with you is the most dependable, Night Sorrow said as he brewed a pot of tea. Actually, I like this feeling too. I can feel the value of my existence. I've organized the information, and some of it is useless. I've also had my spies investigate the key information twice. The enemy's army is currently hoarding in Demon Sealing City, Jun Xuanji said. Demon Sealing City is where the spatial wormhole is, right? Night Sorrow confirmed after thinking for a moment. That's right. The dominator of the demonic blood great world, who is also the leader, Mo Longjiang, is also in Demon Sealing City. Whether it's his original body or his doppelganger, we can't be sure, Jun Xuanji said. The magic dragon general is in Demon Sealing City. That means that the Demon Blood World's Demon Blood City only has one of the magic dragon general's main body or a clone. Night Sorrow's eyes lit up. That's right. Isn't that what you want? Jun Xuanji smiled. You understand me. The most important thing in war is momentum. If we can destroy the enemy's base, why not? Night Sorrow nodded. There's a chance, but I have to remind you of something important. The biggest variable in this war is whether or not the water world is as you expect. If they change their minds, then our estimation of their strength will be wrong, and it'll be easy for problems to arise, Jun Xuanji said. She was analyzing the problem from an objective point of view. There shouldn't be a mistake. The biggest variable here is how strong the magic dragon general is and whether or not we can quickly take him down, Night Sorrow said. Jun Xuanji did not say anything else. Apart from that, there were no other problems. Following this, Night Sorrow gathered all the higher-ups of the allied army in the command tent. Next, Night Sorrow began to plan the battle. I'll take care of the teleportation formation. When we attack, I'll immediately destroy Demon Blood City's teleportation formation so that they won't be able to come back in time. Chapter 15:12. Everyone is here. Please take a seat. Night Sorrow gestured for everyone to take a seat. We heard what you said. We didn't do that, Tang Jianfang said. It's just some thoughts and ideas. Children have to rely on themselves to grow. As a father, I just need to give them a good starting point and a good cultivation environment, Night Sorrow said. You already know what happened. This is everyone's idea. With the emergence of the realm war, the development of the chaos realm has changed. A snake can't do without a head, so we need a real leader. I know you hate trouble, but this is the general trend. It's your responsibility, Tang Jianfang said. I'll do what I have to do. Night Sorrow nodded. After the ceremony, we'll prepare the domain chief's manor. Everyone will act according to the rules. The chaos realm will stabilize and develop better, Lord of Heaven God Hu said. Where should we put the domain chief's manor? Tang Jianfang asked. Everyone else was also thinking about it. Night Sorrow's world is good. If you ask where is the safest place in the chaos realm, it's the 9-domain world. Night Sorrow is the realm lord of the 9-domain world. It's unbreakable. The other 9-domain world is in the core area of the 3 major world groups. It's more convenient, Qing Emperor said. That's more suitable. But I haven't been to the 9-domain world yet, Tang Jianfang said. 6 Nif Night Sorrow smiled and explained the general situation of the 9-domain world. A new world, a supreme source. This is the potential of a major world. It's amazing, Lord of Heaven God Hu said with some emotion. It's less than 100,000 years old, so it has a long lifespan. Even during the Great Calamity, I can protect the source and the source can continue to give birth to new worlds. In addition, if the 3 major worlds of the Chaos Realm reach the Great Calamity, I'll do my best to protect the source and give them a chance to be reborn, Night Sorrow said. Haha, that's great. Lord of Heaven God Hu laughed. It's all good news. Lord of Heaven Yuan Dao nodded. After chatting for a while, everyone went to prepare for battle. The development of the primal chaos domain was a matter of the future. The most important thing right now was to resolve the realm war. Night Sorrow took out Evil Soldier's skeleton and gave it to Datura. Arrow, go and throw this into the dark abyss. This way, Evil Soldier's doppelganger can ignore it. Alright, that's another problem solved. Datura smiled and nodded. Then, he left using the teleportation array. With the development of the teleportation array, it would only take a moment to do this. When Datura came back to drink tea with Night Sorrow, Xia Bing, who was meditating at the entrance of the wormhole, stood up. His face was filled with pain. He understood what was going on. This was what Lai Bing had suffered back then. Anger and helplessness. These were Xia Bing's feelings. He was angry because he was tortured like this. He was helpless because he could not solve it. He did not even dare to go to the primal chaos domain. If he went there now, he would be courting death. He was not afraid of others, but he was afraid of Night Sorrow. If Night Sorrow wanted to kill him, it would be as easy as cutting vegetables. After thinking for a while, Xia Bing looked in the direction of the main tent. The magic dragon general was meditating there. The pain continued to come. Xia Bing made a decision. When the magic dragon general was not here, he would enter the wormhole and negotiate with the primal chaos domain, even if it meant surrendering. He knew that he could not bear the torture that had accumulated over the years. Xia Bing does not have much fighting power. When he sees us, he will have to submit. Lai Bing only has his original body. He is not much of a deterrent. Night Sorrow said. Datura nodded. There were 4 experts in the Devil Blood domain. Magic Dragon General, Dragon Princess, Dragon Language, Sky Blade Lai Bing, and Devil Blade Xia Bing. Devil Blade Xia Bing's original body was destroyed. Only his doppelganger was still recovering. Now, the body of his original body was thrown into the dark abyss by Datura. It was gnawed by the devil spirit and had no fighting power. It was negligible. Sky Blade Lai Bing's doppelganger was destroyed. Although he had recovered, he still had a strong sense of fear for Night Sorrow. If Night Sorrow could destroy him once, he could naturally do it again. Dragon Princess and Dragon Language, who were ranked higher than Xia Bing and Lai Bing in terms of fighting power, had decided to withdraw from the realm war after being defeated by Night Sorrow once. In other words, in this realm war, the one to be dealt with was the Magic Dragon General. Soon, it was time to decide the battle. Night Sorrow stood at the entrance of the tent and watched the people quickly gather and mobilize. A moment later, all the Lords of Heaven gathered at Night Sorrow's tent. Region Master, my doppelganger is ready. He can teleport to the Demon Sealing City at any time to destroy the teleportation formation, Wuling Mountain Master, who came with Tang Jianfeng, said. After the battle, Master will be able to feel the situation and take action when it's time. Let's go now. Our main members will go to the Thousand Blade City first. Night Sorrow led everyone to the teleportation formation. At this time, there were 4 subsidiary teleportation formations next to the main teleportation formation. This was to prepare for the rapid teleportation of people. In addition, last night, Night Sorrow had received a piece of good news from Lord of Heaven. He had set up a teleportation formation on a large lapis lazuli. Lapis lazuli was extremely sturdy. Even if it was moved, the structure of the teleportation formation on it would not change. Therefore, the chaotic region had 4 teleportation formations that could be activated instantly. Yishan led the Heaven Monarchs and flew to the Thousand Blade City. Before the Thousand Blade City's defenders could react, the teleportation array had been seized. Master, you can move now. After giving the order, Night Sorrow boarded the teleportation formation and began to teleport towards the Demon Blood City. After leaving the Demon Blood City, Night Sorrow's original body and doppelganger appeared at the same time. They began to attack the guards of the teleportation formation. Then, the people who rushed over began to kill the guards around the teleportation formation. Not to mention that the guards of the teleportation formation were just sovereigns, even Lords of Heaven were killed by Night Sorrow. With Night Sorrow's original body and doppelganger attacking with all their might, the guards of the teleportation formation were all killed in an instant. Qing Emperor and Sima Tiancheng began to set up a sealing formation. It was a sealing formation that prevented the teleportation formation from operating. At this time, the Wuling Mountain Master came to Knight Soro's side. Region Master, the teleportation formation of the demon sealing city has been destroyed. Will the magic dragon appear? Knight Soro asked the Wuling Mountain Master. Yes, but before he arrived, I activated the trap and kill formation disc and the teleportation formation disc and left. The Wuling Mountain Master reported the situation. Very good. Master, your doppelganger is guarding the United Forces camp, so you don't have to come. Set up the teleportation formation and begin the mass teleportation. Senior brother, let's go. Knight Soro shouted to Sandalwood. Then, he flew towards the Magic Dragon Palace, which was the lair of the Magic Dragon General. Seeing Knight Soro and Sandalwood fly away, Datura was a little anxious. He could only watch as the warriors of the Nine Heavens army continuously teleported over. Hurry up! Datura shouted. Chapter 15:14. And L equals, J underscore, and L equals, and, unsealed ice seal. White ice energy blocked the evil dragon's flames. The white figure was none other than Wu Lingfei in her white dress. Datura wasn't able to completely block the evil dragon's flames. The remaining parts were blocked by Wu Lingfei's ice seal. Ice could counter fire, but it needed to be at the same level of energy. At the very least, the difference couldn't be too great. Wu Lingfei was a junior king, and her ice energy was also at the level of a junior king. Compared to the magic dragon's flames, the difference was too great. She could only block it for a moment before the ice energy collapsed. However, Wu Lingfei had bought everyone some time. Seeing that the people behind her had dodged, Wu Lingfei leaped into the air. The flames flew under her feet and landed on the ground, burning a large hole in the ground. Cool Craftsman Net, only one original version, the others are all pirated. Datura flashed to Wu Lingfei's side. Aunt Fei, are you alright? I'm fine. Wu Lingfei smiled at Datura. The anxious expression on Datura's face let her know that Datura really cared about her. At this time, the Magic Dragon General couldn't attack anyone else because Knight Soro was angry. He couldn't withstand the violent attacks from his anger. Faster! Faster! The Magic Dragon General was very anxious. His clone was flying at top speed. Being bombarded by Knight Soro's soul attack and material attack, the Magic Dragon General couldn't withstand it and kept retreating. Although Luo Yunyang used his war blade to defend himself, the energy from Knight Soro's two poles kept attacking his body, causing his protective dragon flames to weaken. Great Emperor Reincarnation / Knight Soro's main body used his ultimate skill. After the main body used his ultimate skill, Knight Soro's clone also used his ultimate skill, Great Death Destruction / Knight Soro discovered that the Magic Dragon General's defense was no longer as watertight as it had been in the beginning, and time did not allow them to continue fighting so steadily. The Magic Dragon was a great Emperor realm cultivator and was extremely fast. It wouldn't take long for the clone to teleport to the nearest city and then rush over. The halo of negative effects from the lost skill landed on the Magic Dragon General. Immediately, the Magic Dragon General's soul defense decreased, and the flames on its body became much weaker. Kill! With a low roar, Knight Soro Samsara used Void Extreme Kill, while his doppelganger used Return Origin Kill, which was close to the concept of annihilation. The two rods seemed to pass through the void and appeared in front of the Magic Dragon General. One was the head, and the other was the dantian in the abdomen. Knight Soro was attacking the Dragon General's two vital points at the same time. The Magic Dragon General's sword blocked the attack on its abdomen, while its left hand turned into a dragon claw, blocking the attack on its forehead. The sound of metal clashing rang out. Night Sorrow's attack was blocked by the magic dragon general's sword, but the sword was also deflected away. At this time, Night Sorrow Samsara used Void Extreme Kill to pierce the center of the magic dragon general's left claw. A purple halo rippled, and the magic dragon general's left claw was directly pierced through. The magic dragon general endured the pain and pulled its left claw to the left. The light did not enter its forehead, but pierced its left eye. The magic dragon general roared, and a light burst out from its head, shaking off the purple and black halos produced by Night Sorrow's lost skill. The sword in its right hand swung, forcing Night Sorrow to retreat. However, Night Sorrow, who was forced to retreat, once again used his lost skill and launched a second attack. With the help of the soul-extinguishing crescent blade, the two lost skills were released again. Everyone watching the battle tensed up. Everyone knew that Night Sorrow was going to kill the magic dragon general, and it had reached a critical moment. At this time, the magic dragon general's condition had deteriorated. Its left claw was injured, and its left eye was pierced blind, which greatly affected it. After the halo produced by the lost skill covered the magic dragon general once again, Night Sorrow Samsara and Space Splitter slid down the sky, falling towards the magic dragon general. At this time, in the air dozens of miles away, the magic dragon general's clone appeared. When Qing Emperor and the others went to intercept it, the magic dragon general's clone roared, "Melt." After the roar, the magic dragon general's clone directly disappeared. When it reappeared, it emerged from the magic dragon general's body and blocked in front of the main body. It appeared with the soul-extinguishing crescent blade on its head. However, before it could react, Night Sorrow Samsara poured into its forehead, and then the energy burst annihilated its head. Space Splitter also pierced its dantian in the abdomen. At this time, the magic dragon general's main body quickly retreated and then shouted, "Explode." Following the explosion, the magic dragon general's clone exploded, and the violent shockwave sent Night Sorrow flying. The magic dragon general's main body didn't continue to fight with Night Sorrow and continued to retreat. Run. Night Sorrow naturally didn't want the magic dragon general to run away. He avoided the energy wave of the magic dragon general's clone's explosion and began to chase after it. However, the magic dragon general had already run some distance away. Night Sorrow chased after it, and the others also followed. Everyone was worried about Night Sorrow and wanted to know the result. At this time, Night Sorrow's main body and clone had merged into one, and they were closely chasing after the magic dragon general. Heaven falls and earth rends, open. The magic dragon general roared in an ancient manner in Demon Blood City. Following the magic dragon general's roar, a series of explosions were heard, and a dark spatial passage appeared. The passage was full of evil energy. The magic dragon general used the evil dragon's flames to protect his body, and rushed in with the power of heaven and earth. Then, he turned around and fiercely slashed a few times. Collapse. After Night Sorrow arrived, the space began to collapse. Night Sorrow couldn't enter, and the magic dragon general didn't have a chance to chase after it. Night Sorrow helplessly shook his head, and then put Samsara back into the sheath on his back. That's the passage to the celestial realm, but it's already been destroyed. He didn't give anyone a chance at all. Dragon Language appeared, wearing a blue dress. Actually, when the magic dragon general's clone appeared, Dragon Language also arrived, but she was watching in the dark. Then I'm still going to kill him, start a realm war, make everyone suffer, and then just leave. Night Sorrow was still a little angry. The passage is destroyed. It's not that easy to go to the celestial realm. Dragon Language shook her head. She also wanted to go to the celestial realm, but with the passage destroyed, there was no hope. Without this passage, I can't go to the celestial realm. Humph. He escaped this time, but he won't be able to escape again. Night Sorrow was a little unhappy that he didn't kill the magic dragon general. You should be content. He's an Emperor Realm cultivator, and you killed his clone. What else do you want? Dragon language was a little speechless. Why should I be content? He deserves to die. Long Jean, who followed Datura over with the god-slaying squad, said. He was now as angry as Night Sorrow. If it weren't for Datura and Wu Lingfei's quick reaction, the god-slaying squad would have suffered heavy losses. Your Majesty, why are you so angry? Dragon language looked Long Jean up and down. Who are you? Why do you care if I'm angry or not? Captain, I'm going to set the Demon Blood Palace on fire. The angry Long Jean planned to go back and set the palace on fire. Forget it, there's no point. Dragon language, as a reward for not attacking this time, I'll consider bringing you along when I go to the celestial realm. Let's go back. Night Sorrow breathed out, adjusted his emotions, and flew back to the Demon Blood Palace with his people. Search for Cool Craftsman website on WeChat, follow the name of the new work, and read the full text. L equals, and, said. Chapter 1520. Genius 1 second remember love go/little. I'll bring you an exciting novel to read. To read a book, please go to $___. Website $. Master. Yi Yujun stood up and bowed to Lord Heavenly Lord. Good, very good. That night, follow me to the Origin Tao Celestial. Your father is powerful, but I'm not necessarily better at teaching others, Lord Heavenly Lord said with a smile. Xiaoluo, what about you? Night Sorrow looked at Yi Xiaoluo and asked. Father, Mother said that as long as I'm willing to work hard and cultivate with her, I'll definitely be able to dominate the world in the future. Yi Xiaoluo's voice was a little soft because he knew it was a little impolite. You bastard. Night Sorrow was speechless. Why am I a bastard? Can't I teach an expert? Datura glanced at Night Sorrow. You guys win. Night Sorrow smiled helplessly. I like you too, child. Your mother specializes in the death attribute and will guide you well. If you have any questions about the time attribute, you can look for me at the Origin Tao Celestial anytime. Even if you're not my disciple, I'm willing to teach you, Lord Heavenly Lord said. Yi Shang and Mandela stood up and cupped their hands when they heard the words of Yuan Dao Lord of Heaven. This was broad-mindedness and boldness. Cultivators more or less had some sectarian bias. Their consummate skills were kept secret and would not be passed on. However, Yuan Dao Lord of Heaven had displayed an extraordinary broad-mindedness. Domain Lord, what are you guys doing? Lord Heavenly Lord pulled Night Sorrow and Datura to sit down. Yi Xiaoluo thanks Lord. Yi Xiaoluo bowed to Lord Heavenly Lord. 9SJ version BM version RB, Domain Lord, the Origin Tao Celestial will open up soon because the threat of the spatial tunnel no longer exists. Lord Heavenly Lord made his decision. This is a good thing. The Origin Tao Celestial has always been too mysterious. Lord Heavenly Lord also wants to recruit disciples. Night Sorrow suggested. I will. Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord nodded. After drinking and chatting, everyone decided to build a domain chief's manor in the 9-domain world. First of all, the 9-domain world was a young world with a long lifespan and room for development in the future. Night Sorrow was also from the 9-domain world. Furthermore, the 9-domain world was connected to the main cities of the 3 major worlds, which was also more convenient. Regarding this Night Sorrow, he didn't have any objections. However, he stated his own request. That was, in the near future, the various major powers wouldn't be able to enter the 9-domain world. High-level cultivators would only be able to visit their families and friends for fun. They wouldn't be able to search for opportunities. We will do it. Heaven Monarch Shin, who was the first to express his stance. The others were the same. Everyone understood that the 9 domains world was a new world, and cultivators needed time. Qing Emperor, you're in luck this time. Your Qing Emperor's dynasty has already built a city in the 9 regions world. You have the advantage, said the Red Emperor. Red Moon, you're thinking too much. Back then, because of the celestial sex threat, I listened to Night Sorrow's suggestion and built a city in the 9 domains world. Although the city is being built, I've banned anyone from walking outside, said the Qing Emperor. Night Sorrow, you used the skeleton of a heaven monarch level ice dragon to set up the icebound formation. Aren't you afraid that the dragons will come after you? Asked the dragon language, who had been drinking and drinking without speaking much. I'm not afraid. Uncle Lai agreed to it. Uncle Lai is the ice dragon, said Night Sorrow with a smile. The ice dragon gave it to you. All right. The dragon language didn't know what to say because this shouldn't have happened. After the chat, Night Sorrow, Tai Shu Yen, and the others arranged for the guests to stay in the VIP building before returning to the city in the sky with their families. Night Sorrow called Yi Yujun to his side and sat down. When it comes to apprenticeship, the first thing is attitude. It has nothing to do with our status in the Yi clan, said Night Sorrow as he looked at his son. Father, I understand. Yi Yujun nodded. Attitude determines success. You must remember this. I believe in you. Night Sorrow patted his son's shoulder. Father, you are the pride of us siblings. We will work hard to become your pride, said Yi Yujun. Although you haven't apprenticed yet, your grandmasters and granduncles won't be stingy with their guidance. If you don't understand something, you can ask them. Auntie Ah Luo is also fine, said Night Sorrow as he looked at his 3 children. Father, don't worry. Yi Qingyan and the others nodded. Yi Xiaoluo, I'm worried about you the most. You must be calm. You must be calm in everything, said Night Sorrow as he looked at his youngest son. I've disappointed you today. Yi Xiaoluo's voice was a bit low. No, I know you've changed a lot. Take it slow. Night Sorrow smiled at his son. Son, why are you telling me so much? You're the leader of the region. Can't you teach your son yourself, said Yu Qing. Today, I want to apologize to you, mother, and everyone else. I may have to leave home for a while, said Night Sorrow as he put his arm around his youngest son's shoulder. Father, where are you going? Yi Xiaoluo's eyes were filled with disappointment. Sky Monarch isn't the highest level of a cultivator. The path of cultivation is endless. Above the Sky Monarch is the Emperor Realm. Father, can you let me cultivate to the Emperor Realm? Asked Night Sorrow as he looked at Yi Xiaoluo. Okay. I miss you, Father. I'll go to the heaven ceiling hole. Yi Xiaoluo nodded. Yes, the same goes for the rest of you. In the past few years, my clone in the heaven ceiling hall has been studying alchemy, weapon refinement, and array formation. I won't study it anymore. If you have any problems or want to solve them, come to the heaven ceiling hall to find me, said Night Sorrow to his children. Yu Qing sighed helplessly. She felt sorry for her son, but there were some things that she couldn't stop. Qing, you have to think about it. It's because of my hard work that I have achieved what I have today. We should be happy for my son's achievements. Didn't you hear the Sky Monarch say that this is an unprecedented achievement in the 3,000 worlds of the chaotic world? Yi Wuyo said. After everything was settled, the 9-region city began to build the domain chief's manor. All the major forces contributed resources. The people in charge were Qing Emperor, Tang Jianfeng, and Sky Monarch Shenhu. The 3 of them were the representatives of the 3 major world groups. They would also be the elders of the domain chief's manor in the future. Night Sorrow spent every day with his wife and children. Yi Yujun officially became Sky Monarch Yuandao's disciple and held a ceremony. After staying at home for a few days, Night Sorrow decided to solve the problem of the celestial sex Ling Tian. Otherwise, it would always be a hidden danger. He was worried about leaving. After asking someone to divine again and confirming that the celestial sect was still in the Kun lower world, Night Sorrow set off. The Kun lower world was surrounded by the star domain storm. However, Night Sorrow wanted to try. He wasn't afraid of the spatial turbulence within a domain. He could enter if he had the opportunity. Chapter 1521. The headquarters of the celestial sect in the celestial realm didn't ask Ling Tian and the others to go back because they hadn't completed the task. Ling Tian could only accept the order. He wanted to go to the celestial realm, but he also knew that without the support and approval of the headquarters, he wouldn't be able to survive in the celestial realm without a foundation. He could only wait for the right time to find a high-level world to plunder the origin energy. Only then could he complete the task. After Night Sorrow set out, he teleported many times between different worlds. When he came to the space world barrier closest to the Kun mortal world, he couldn't teleport anymore. Through the space world barrier, Night Sorrow found that the energy in the space turbulence was extremely violent, full of destructive and void energy. Among all the elemental energies in the world, the most violent was the destructive energy, and the most difficult to defend against was the void energy that could annihilate everything. If it's all destructive energy, there's no way to get through it. But the area with the void energy in the middle is an opportunity, Night Sorrow murmured. The void energy and Night Sorrow's genuine chi were of the same origin. If Night Sorrow used the void energy to protect himself, it would be very effective. After all, they were of the same origin. The void energy in the turbulence would be less aggressive and invasive. After taking a sip of wine, Night Sorrow tore the space world barrier and started to fly. Night Sorrow had to go through the turbulence in the space world to set up the transmission formation. He had a much bigger advantage than others, and he didn't need to take others with him. He had tried it. No matter which space world origin it was, it didn't reject him. The Qing Emperor needed 2 or 3 years to set up the transmission formation between the Xuanhuan Great World and the Samsara Great World. It took a lot of time to find people. People who didn't belong to this world couldn't break the space world barrier and enter. QY on UW. When the Qing Emperor entered a world, he offered a reward for finding people in the next space world. After finding them, he promised a high price and signed a promise. Then he used a space treasure to carry them through the turbulence in the space turbulence to the next space world barrier. Then he tore the space world barrier and asked the person who carried them to bring the transmission crystal in. Only then did he set up the transmission formation step by step. Night Sorrow was now the deluxe merit grand sage, as well as the master of the primal chaos realm. He had the acknowledgement of the 3 world essences, and the other high-level and low-level worlds would not treat him as an enemy. Little Kong, in such a strong spatial turbulence, how long can you hold on if you give me time to rest? Night Sorrow asked as he flew. As long as we have enough Saint Spirit stones, it won't be a problem, Shao Kong said. Right now, we lack everything but Holy Spirit stones, ha. When it came to Holy Spirit stones, Night Sorrow was very confident. He had several million in wealth, and Lai Bing had given him 3 million. In addition to his previous savings, he didn't have to worry about Holy Spirit stones. While flying, Night Sorrow felt the pressure. The spatial turbulence here was too strong. Back then, Haotian City, which was the current 9-region city, was wrapped in a spatial storm. Compared to the current spatial storm, it was like a drop in the ocean. The spatial turbulence here carried with it a strong suppression of the world's grand momentum. Ordinary spatial turbulence had its own laws, and the violent places had the additional will of the world. However, it definitely wouldn't have such a strong grand momentum. He couldn't comprehend it. Due to the restrictions of the world's shackles, Night Sorrow was unable to comprehend the grand momentum of the heavenly Tao. In other words, he couldn't even become a half-step sovereign. However, Night Sorrow knew that once he broke through the shackles and comprehended the grand momentum of the world, cultivating here would definitely be much easier. When he was tired, Night Sorrow entered the Hautian Divine Pagoda to recover. With the time acceleration here, 2 hours of Night Sorrow's rest was just a short while outside. After resting, Night Sorrow continued flying. In the past, it wasn't difficult to set up a transportation formation in the Kuan lower realm. That was because once the spatial turbulence passed, it would be a period of stability. Due to the restrictions of the world essences, King was unable to set up a transportation formation. It was always the sage kings who set it up in the spatial world at the most suitable time and the closest distance. Others couldn't do it like Night Sorrow. While traveling in the spatial turbulence, Night Sorrow was also tempering and condensing his vital energy. Back then, he had cultivated and consolidated his cultivation like this. It's a pretty good place. I'll really have to come here in the future. Night Sorrow muttered. There were very few places that could help him condense his cultivation, but this place could. As he wasn't in a hurry, Night Sorrow walked and stopped every now and then. On this day, while traveling, Night Sorrow was stunned. Ahead of him was a zone of destructive energy. There were no streaks of void energy. In other words, he had to pass through this zone of destructive energy. There was no other way. Night Sorrow increased his protective energy to the maximum and started traveling. With the invasion of destructive energy, Night Sorrow's protective energy began to deplete rapidly. When his cultivation was depleted by more than half, Night Sorrow wanted to rest. Then, the strand of colored energy in his body that didn't listen to his commands began to move quickly. The colored energy moved at full speed and merged with Night Sorrow's protective energy shield. At this time, Night Sorrow's soul power easily merged with the colored energy. Then, he could control it. He was too happy. For many years, Night Sorrow had been trying to study and refine this energy. However, he couldn't do it. When his soul power merged, it was destroyed. When the void energy went up, there was no way to solve it. Today, when it was suppressed by destructive energy, this energy moved and merged with Night Sorrow's soul power. Night Sorrow was very excited. He knew that this was destructive energy. It was the purest form of destructive energy. It had to be known that it was produced in the most tyrannical destructive lightning tribulation. Night Sorrow's body flashed and entered the Hautian God Pagoda. He sat down cross-legged and began to study this destructive energy. At this time, this destructive energy was moving quickly in Night Sorrow's body. Although it was tyrannical, under the protection and control of Night Sorrow's soul power, it didn't cause any damage to Night Sorrow's body. Feeling something, Night Sorrow pointed with a finger of his right hand. The colored energy pulsed at the tip of his finger. Night Sorrow's body originally had 3 types of destructive energy. Under Night Sorrow's careful study, they had merged and strengthened. However, he couldn't control them. Now that he could control it, it was a trump card. Night Sorrow knew that once he thought of a way to strengthen this destructive energy and then research a destructive technique, he would have one more trump card. Night Sorrow had seen cultivators of the destruction attribute. Sandalwood and dragon language were both of them. However, Night Sorrow was sure that the destructive energy in their bodies wasn't as pure as his. Sandalwood's destructive energy was of the fire attribute, while the dragon languages was more tyrannical. However, there were other types of energy that weren't pure enough. He had to cultivate and strengthen it. If he could cultivate a destructive skill, it would come in handy. Chapter 1524. Genius 1 second. Remember love go/little? Here's a wonderful novel for you to read. After arriving at Sky City, Night Sorrow called for Datura. Assemble a team of Bloodstrike guards and wait for me at 9 Chong Building. What's wrong? Datura was surprised to see Night Sorrow's murderous expression. This had not happened in a long time. How dare you bully the disciples of Medicine Valley? You must be tired of living. My senior sister has been kidnapped, Night Sorrow said. Okay, they will be at Nine Chong building soon. Datura was furious after hearing Night Sorrow's words. Night Sorrow brought Tang Qianqian to Nine Chong building through the teleportation array. Fei Xiu, bring your men and follow me, Night Sorrow shouted to Fei Xiu, who was guarding Nine Chong building. Young master, we will follow you, Hong Yi said. She could tell that Night Sorrow was going to kill someone. Okay. You two follow me. Senior sister Tang, do you know the location? Night Sorrow asked Tang Qianqian. I know. Zhan Feng is from Green Great Island. They should be going there since they kidnapped junior sister Jingyi, Tang Qianqian said. Give me the map, Night Sorrow shouted to Hong Yi. After taking out the map, Night Sorrow looked at it and found that it was an island in the original Sky Seizing Island. It was a subordinate force of Sky Seizing Island. At this moment, Datura arrived at Nine Chong building with a team of Bloodstrike guards. Ah Luo, Sky Seizing Island is now under the rule of Dark Abyss. I need the fastest way to Green Great Island. Datura pointed to Green Great Island on the map. How can I get to that area the fastest way? Datura had not been in charge of anything recently, so she was not very clear. However, she had brought along the commander of the Bloodthirsty Legion. You can go there directly. The City Lord's mansion of Green Great Island belongs to the Dark Abyss. Together with the Green Great Sect, they manage Green Great Island. Then let's go. Night Sorrow ordered. After 2 teleportations, the group arrived at Green Great Island. Night Sorrow brought his men into the City Lord's mansion. Inside the City Lord's mansion were the troops of the Dark Abyss. When they saw Datura and Night Sorrow, they all bowed in greeting. Night Sorrow and the others knew about Night Sorrow. I'm looking for someone. Do you know Zhan Feng? Night Sorrow didn't stand on ceremony and directly asked. This was because the matter was very urgent. If he was late, something irreversible might happen. Zhantai. This surname only belongs to the descendants of Zhantai Yang. We did not exterminate the Zhantai clan. The Qinghong sect is their power. The person in charge of the Dark Abyss said. Let's go. Night Sorrow shouted. The person in charge of the Dark Abyss led Night Sorrow and the others through Green Great Island's teleportation circle and arrived at the Qinghong sect. After arriving at the Qinghong sect, Night Sorrow activated his soul power and began to investigate. After a while, he found Lin Jingyi in a courtyard. Her arms were chained behind her back and she was hanging on the roof beam. A man was standing in front of her and poking her occasionally. Damn it! Night Sorrow roared. His body flashed and he flew towards the direction he was investigating. You can forgive the sins of the heavens, but you can't live with the sins you bring upon yourself. Kill them. Datura checked the direction Night Sorrow was flying in and immediately understood what was going on. He then gave the order to kill. The Qinghong sect didn't even have 2 sovereigns. How could they resist? Shishue had brought along sovereigns. The Qing Emperor's guardian team that Fei Xiu had brought was also very strong. After a while, the Qinghong sect was in a mess. After Night Sorrow flew to the courtyard, he waved his hand and sent the man flying. Then, with a shake of his right hand, he broke the chains and put Lin Jingyi down. It's okay now. Eat this. Night Sorrow supported Lin Jingyi and fed her a drop of life soul fluid. Who are you? How dare you interfere with the business of the Qinghong sect? The injured man shouted at Night Sorrow. After Zhan Taiyang died, I didn't kill all the forces he belonged to. However, this time, you asked for it. No one can bully the people around me just because of how good their background is or how strong the sect behind them is. No one can bully the people around me. Night Sorrow said coldly. Smiley face, who are you? The man felt that things were not going well. He was Zhang Taiyang's descendant, Zhang Taiyang. After Zhang Taiyang died, the people of the Zhang Tai clan came to the Qinghong sect established by his son. However, because they were used to being arrogant in the past, their evil nature was ingrained in their bones. My name is Night Sorrow. When you die, you will know who killed you. Night Sorrow's right hand vibrated with energy. He planned to end this Zhang Taiyang. Junior brother Night, wait. I want to take care of him personally. Lin Jingyi felt better after eating the life soul fluid. Sure. Night Sorrow's right hand exploded with energy. He grabbed Zhang Taiyang and wrapped Lin Jingyi with energy and flew towards the Qinghong sect square. At this moment, the square was full of people. Sky Seizing Island used to do all kinds of evil. I endured it and didn't find fault with you. Now that I found out that your evil nature is in your bones, there is no need to keep you alive. Shishua, kill them all. Datura's body emitted killing intent. This matter was his responsibility. If Lin Jingyi was fine, it would be a pity if something happened to her. No need. Destroy their cultivation and let them die on their own. Night Sorrow stretched out his hand and pulled Datura. He didn't want to see Datura tainted with too much killing. Sure. Shishua, do as Night Sorrow says. Datura nodded. Don't worry, Domain Lord and Lord Ruler. Drag them away. Shishua shouted to the Blood Strike guards. Senior Sister Lin, I'm a little late. Night Sorrow looked at Lin Jingyi, who seemed to have recovered. Not late at all. Thank you, Master Knight. Domain Lord. Lin Jingyi changed the way she addressed him. Night Sorrow's current status was different. Senior Sister Lin, just call me Junior Brother Night or Night Sorrow. I'll leave this Shan Feng to you. I've said it before. No one can bully you just because they have a backer. Not today, not in the future, Night Sorrow said. Thank you, Junior Brother Night. Tang Qianqian and Lin Jingyi bowed to Night Sorrow again. Heavenly Monarch was a realm that cultivators yearned for. Cultivators at this realm had to be respected by other cultivators. Furthermore, Night Sorrow was the domain lord of the primal chaos realm. If you have any problems in the future, you must look for me. Don't be careless. Delaying will only ruin things, Night Sorrow said. Got it, bastard. We trusted you and wanted to train with you. Yet, you conspired against us. Not only did you steal our things, but you're also shameless. Lin Jingyi took a few steps forward and kicked Zhang Feng, who was being held down by Fei Xiu. Then, she stepped forward and kicked Zhang Feng between his legs. Because her cultivation hadn't recovered, her true qi wasn't violent. A few kicks wouldn't kill him. Thus, it was a cruel torture for Zhang Feng. Chapter 1530. After checking again and making sure the surroundings were safe, Night Sorrow sunk the Haoqian God Pagoda to the bottom of the river. Then, his main body entered and began to cultivate. After entering the mastery of the will of destruction, he had to deduce and comprehend it on a deeper level. Although Night Sorrow's current realm was deep, his soul power was strong, and his deduction ability was high, it still needed time. After glancing at the river, Night Sorrow's clone set up a king-level interrealm transmission array and then hit it with an illusion array. Then, he flew away to complete some missions. 9 Regions World. Night Sorrow's clone came out from the Heaven Sealing Hall and nodded to the group of people waiting with a smile. Let's go to the tea house over there to talk. The area close to the Heaven Sealing Hall was filled with buildings belonging to the 9 Region City's City Lord Mansion, such as the Chamber of Commerce, the Alchemist Guild, the Blacksmith Guild, and so on. The only one that had nothing to do with the City Lord Mansion was the tea house. It was for Night Sorrow's clone to rest in the heaven's ceiling hall and come out to drink tea and chat with friends and family. The owners were Chin Chin and Night Sorrow. At the tea house, Sikong Chuyu made tea for everyone. "How's the situation?" Qing Emperor asked. "After going through the wind tribulation and fire tribulation, we successfully passed through the passage and arrived in the celestial realm. Disciple's main body has already hidden to cultivate. My clone went out to understand the situation and then made some suitable arrangements according to the situation." Night Sorrow said. "Be careful." Misty Rain reminded Night Sorrow mainly because he was worried. In the celestial realm, Night Sorrow controlled his clone to move forward, and his soul power was also constantly probing. At the same time, Night Sorrow also had some understanding of the celestial realm. The sky was higher, the vast aura was stronger, and the space was more stable. When Night Sorrow used his full strength, there were only slight cracks in the space, which was several times stronger than the great world. #L forever exempt from our fee, L look. Night Sorrow understood the vastness of the celestial realm. There were many realms, but there was only one celestial realm. It was the core of all realms. After flying for half a day and traveling more than 2 million kilometers, Night Sorrow finally saw a city. From afar, Night Sorrow did a scan. There was a defensive formation at the city gate, and the one guarding it was king. The captain was a senior king. Night Sorrow felt that it was more appropriate to position himself as a practitioner who had just left the mountain. Thinking of this, Night Sorrow smiled. In fact, he was an aboriginal who had just arrived in the celestial realm and did not know anything. Retracting his aura, Night Sorrow arrived at the city gates. After being stopped, he had to hand over 2 Saint Spirit stones before he was allowed to enter the city. Night Sorrow was quite pleased that they didn't encounter any difficulties and were able to speak the same language. After entering the city, Night Sorrow was very cautious as he sensed everything in the city. A newcomer needed to first understand the city so that he wouldn't make any mistakes. After walking around the city, Night Sorrow found an inn and paid the spirit stones to stay. Yi Shang was drinking tea in the main hall of the inn, listening to others talk and gathering the information he needed to know. Among the practitioners, they talked about experience, who had gained what, and so on. Night Sorrow did not obtain any valuable information, but a name caught his attention. The Eastern Hao Emperor. After staying in the inn for half a day, Night Sorrow casually walked around the city. This was a city that Night Sorrow had seen. The city was very big. Although it was not as big as the 3 main cities of the primal chaos realm, it was about the same as the main cities of the various factions. Many of the people walking on the streets were high-level practitioners. There were many king and sovereign lords, but Night Sorrow realized that there were still very few heaven monarchs. When he came to this city called Flying Cloud City, he only saw 2 heaven monarchs. This made Night Sorrow understand that not everyone in the celestial realm was an expert. Although the environment of the realm was better, every life had to cultivate step by step after being born. The children of heaven monarchs might have a good foundation and resources, but they would not soar to the sky in one go. They also had to cultivate slowly. Night Sorrow went to a grocery store. Although it was called a grocery store, it was very big. It was at least as big as a first-class store in the Qing Emperor's dynasty. Night Sorrow bought a map and a handwritten book of anecdotes. He wanted to understand some of the knowledge, so the handwritten book of anecdotes was more comprehensive. After leaving the grocery store, Night Sorrow walked around and bought a few books about humanities. In other stores, Night Sorrow bought maps. One map might not be accurate, but after comparing a few, he would be able to come to a conclusion. In the last store, Night Sorrow bought a book called The Celestial Demon List. It introduced the experts of the celestial realm. After flipping through it, Night Sorrow was interested. The Celestial Demon List introduced the people in detail. It also introduced the forces they belonged to. This was what he needed. Then, Knight Sorrow returned to the inn with his gains. Then, he started to study the map and handwritten book. As he studied, Knight Sorrow realized that the celestial realm was very vast. Even with teleportation portals, it was not easy to travel everywhere. The celestial realm was too big. After comparing the maps that Knight Sorrow had, the most detailed area was the map of the Donghao region in the celestial realm. The Donghao region was only a corner of the celestial realm. The strongest force in the Donghao region was the Donghao mountain, and the leader was the Donghao monarch. The Donghao region covered millions of miles, and the Donghao mountain only occupied the core region. It was the leader of the power structure. There were many smaller forces in the vast territory below. Knight Sorrow flipped through the map and closed it. He felt that these maps were not enough. If he wanted to understand the celestial realm and the Donghao region, he would have to go to a bigger city, or even Donghao City. Only then would he be able to understand in detail, analyze, and determine where to set up a teleportation portal. A teleportation portal could be set up anywhere, but Knight Sorrow was very careful. It was related to the future of the Chaos Realm. If he did not choose a good location, he could face a disaster at any time. Knight Sorrow chose a route and began to teleport. After a dozen teleportals, Knight Sorrow arrived at Donghao City in the Donghao region. After exiting the teleportation portal, Knight Sorrow looked back and heaved a sigh of relief. The teleportation portal in Donghao City also used king-grade teleportation crystals. This made Knight Sorrow realize how precious imperial-grade teleportation crystals were. Knight Sorrow was stopped as soon as he exited the teleportation portal. Where is this Heaven Monarch from? This was the Heaven Monarch guarding the teleportation portal. It was not just one, but two Heaven Monarchs. They were all wearing the same long robes with cloud patterns embroidered on the shoulders. That was the symbol of a member of the Donghao mountain. I am from the Flying Cloud City. I am an itinerant cultivator. Knight Sorrow cupped his hands and said, if you have any grievances to resolve, please report to the City Lord Mansion. The City Lord Mansion will give you an explanation. However, Donghao City does not prohibit martial arts. Please do not make a mistake. An older Heaven Monarch spoke. It was a warning, but it was also respectful. Speak. The fifth update has arrived. Chapter 1531. If he was an ordinary cultivator, these two Heaven Monarchs would not say anything and just do things according to the rules. However, since a Heaven Monarch was here, they still had to show some respect. You two think too much. Knight Sorrow is just out for a walk. There is no grudge or hatred between us, Knight Sorrow said. The two Heaven Monarchs guarding the teleportation array nodded and did not say anything. Heaven Monarchs disdained to lie. Knight Sorrow said that he was here for a walk, so he was here for a walk. They believed him. Walking in Donghao City, Knight Sorrow felt the grandeur. Donghao City was much bigger than Reincarnation City and Xianhuang City. The guards on the street were all monarchs and even Heaven Monarchs. When they saw Knight Sorrow, they took a few more glances but did not say anything. After finding a restaurant, Knight Sorrow ordered a pot of wine and 2 side dishes. He drank the wine while listening to others talk. The conversation was about a battle. The table was talking about how the young master of Donghao Mountain had killed an emperor-level scaled dragon. Knight Sorrow understood that the young master of Donghao Mountain was also an emperor-level cultivator. Otherwise, he would not have such a battle record. At this time, a man sat opposite Knight Sorrow. Daoist friend, your back is not bad. I am a blacksmith. Can I have a look at it? Knight Sorrow looked at the man with an intermediate-level king cultivation but did not say anything. He found that the man's eyes were not straight enough. I feel that you are imposing. What's wrong with having a look? The man smiled. Sorry, weapons are not for others. Night Sorrow refused directly. Lu-san, are you starting to lie again? A woman entered the restaurant with 2 attendants. Madam, didn't I compensate you for what happened last time? Don't chase me and ruin my business. The man named Lu-san glanced at the woman and left the restaurant. Thank you for your advice, Mississippi. Night Sorrow cupped his hands at the woman sitting next to him. It's nothing. You are vigilant and will not be deceived by him. The woman smiled and nodded at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow was a little puzzled. It was unbelievable that a mid-level king could fool a heaven monarch. Donghao City has a rule that forbids martial arts. His cultivation level doesn't matter. If he took your weapon and didn't return it to you, would you kill him? If you kill him, you'll break the rules. If you don't kill him, he won't give you the weapon, so you can only use resources to redeem it. Lu-san specializes in this. The woman could see Night Sorrow's confusion. It's my first time here, so I don't know much about the situation. Thank you. Night Sorrow expressed his gratitude once again. Lu-san was good at grasping weaknesses, and it was easy for him to succeed. The woman left after drinking the tea. Night Sorrow still sat there and didn't leave. He felt that the celestial realm was indeed complicated. In the primal chaos domain, no one dared to do this. No one dared to challenge the dignity of a heaven monarch. Night Sorrow found an inn in the city and stayed there. Then, he tried to get used to life in the celestial realm. Only by understanding more would he be able to fit in. As he got to know more, Night Sorrow understood some of the celestial realm situation. Beginner Emperor Realm cultivators were called emperors. Intermediate Emperor Realm cultivators were called emperors. Advanced Emperor Realm cultivators were called emperors. They all had titles behind their names. Emperor Donghao was an intermediate Emperor Realm cultivator. The top few on the celestial demon list were all emperors. The only special one was called the Demon King. First, the most famous one was a woman. She was the ethereal battle empress of the ethereal empire. Night Sorrow knew that to have a battle title, it meant that she was either battle-hungry or extremely powerful. The one that caught Night Sorrow's attention was the Celestial Saint Emperor. The force under his command was the Celestial Sect. He was a little annoyed and resentful. The celestial realm couldn't have 2 celestial sects. It must be the headquarters of the celestial sect in the primal chaos domain. This was because the celestial saint emperor's name was Ling Wuji. Night Sorrow also saw a force called Yuan Dao Tian. It was a sea force, but it was rather far from the Donghao city. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow felt that it would be better to go to the ethereal empire and find a safe place to build a base. The ethereal empire was called an empire, but it was actually a force that had been established. It was the safest place in the primal chaos domain. According to the records, the ethereal empire's territory had never been invaded. It was the safest place. Indeed, the Yuan Dao Tian was related to the primal chaos domain's Yuan Dao Tian. It was a good choice to go there. However, Night Sorrow felt that the Yuan Dao Tian in the primal chaos domain was just an inheritance brought there by one person. It was hard to say if the Yuan Dao Tian would recognize it. Also, Night Sorrow didn't want to follow anyone. He was here to break through his shackles and increase his strength. He wasn't here to look at anyone's face. After making his decision, Night Sorrow set off. After settling things, he could set up a teleportation array. After continuously teleporting for 7 days, Night Sorrow arrived at the Ethereal Empire's territory. This was still relatively close to the Donghao city. If it was a further area or an area without a teleportation array, it would be very difficult to reach. The Ethereal Empire's imperial city was at the foot of the Ethereal Sacred Mountain. Night Sorrow arrived at the Ethereal Empire's imperial city. Donghao City was very majestic and prosperous. However, compared to the Ethereal Empire's imperial city, it was a far cry. Without much effort, Night Sorrow got a map of the ethereal empire. Night Sorrow decided to build a base near a big lake outside the ethereal empire's territory. It was already far away from the core region of the ethereal empire. It was close to another force, Boundless Pavilion, and the Donghouse City. Boundless Pavilion was a mid-tier force. This place called Star Moon Lake was a lawless area. The ethereal empire didn't rule or care about it. It was also a place that Boundless Pavilion and the surrounding forces didn't dare to touch. They couldn't afford to offend the ethereal empire. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow decided to find a suitable place to build a base near the Star Moon Lake. It was safer here. After making his decision, Night Sorrow rushed towards the Star Moon Lake. The closest city to the Star Moon Lake with a teleportation array was the ethereal empire's Greenwater City. It was over 10 million miles away from the Star Moon Lake. After a few teleportations, Night Sorrow arrived at Greenwater City and took a look around. He then left Greenwater City and flew towards the Star Moon Lake. As he wasn't in a hurry, Night Sorrow took 2 days to arrive at the Star Moon Lake. After arriving at the Star Moon Lake, Night Sorrow began to explore. He wanted to find a suitable place to build a base. In half a month, Night Sorrow had explored the surroundings of the Star Moon Lake. It wasn't that Night Sorrow was slow. It was just that the Star Moon Lake was too big. It was millions of square miles. After looking around and studying a few potential strongholds, Yi Shang began to explore the Star Moon Lake. He had to be cautious. If there was an Emperor-level demon beast lying in the lake, wouldn't that be like provoking the Almighty? Wouldn't he be asking for trouble? While flying above the Star Moon Lake to check if there were any hidden dangers, Night Sorrow discovered an island. The island was very big, with an area of more than 10,000 square miles. After landing on the island and exploring, Night Sorrow didn't find any powerful monster beasts. There were a few Saint King-level monster beasts that ran away when they saw him. After exploring, Night Sorrow felt that this place was better than the few locations he had chosen. The ethereal empire didn't care about this island. Perhaps they hadn't discovered it yet. It was very suitable for Night Sorrow to build a base. Speak. The 6th update has arrived. Chapter 1532. At the core of the island, Night Sorrow first set up an illusion array. Then, he began to set up a teleportation array. It was not easy to set up an Emperor-grade teleportation array. He had to be very careful. There could not be any problems. Once there was a problem, he would be in big trouble. Night Sorrow's doppelganger set up the array. His original body also set off from the Donghao district and headed towards Star Moon Lake. This would be his stronghold in the future. Night Sorrow planned to stay here and cultivate slowly. The first time he set up an Emperor-grade teleportation array, Night Sorrow spent a month and tested it repeatedly. This time, it was relatively easier for Night Sorrow to set it up. However, it was also more time-consuming. It took him nearly 20 days to set it up. At this time, his original body also arrived and cultivated beside the teleportation array. After everything was set up, Night Sorrow used his energy to test the teleportation array again. When he felt that it was safe, he inserted the teleportation crystal. Seeing that the teleportation crystal lit up, Night Sorrow inserted a Saint Spirit stone. Ordinary interrealm teleportation arrays had a crystal slot because one Saint Spirit stone was enough to support the teleportation. However, Night Sorrow was setting up an Emperor-grade teleportation array. He was worried that there would not be enough Saint Spirit stones to support the teleportation. Therefore, he directly made a large slot that could store more than 10 Saint Spirit stones at a time. After feeling it for a while, Night Sorrow's doppelganger activated the teleportation array and returned to the 9-domain world. Then, he walked around the Domain Lord's mansion and returned to the city in the sky. Several Lords of Heaven from the Domain Lord's mansion had arrived. Night Sorrow's return meant that the teleportation array was set up. This was good news for everyone. Sixth senior sister, let's not drink tea. Let's have some wine. Night Sorrow was also very happy. As everyone drank, Night Sorrow explained the current situation. Domain Lord, you said that our stronghold is in the no man's land. But if they really want to attack, how are we going to withstand it? Heaven Lord Shin, who was still worried. Where there are people, there will be conflicts. It's unrealistic for our chaotic realm to find a paradise to develop. The only way to develop is to improve our strength. The celestial sect of the celestial realm is very strong. It's hard to say when they will cause trouble for our chaotic realm. We don't know the methods of the imperial realm cultivators. The only thing that can guarantee our safety is our own strength, Night Sorrow said. Domain Lord, do you have any plans? Tang Jianfeng asked. Let's head over right now and build a city first. We'll prepare the materials and send them over. The teleportation will cost us some Saint Spirit stones, but it's better than going out to buy materials and exposing ourselves, Night Sorrow said. Everyone nodded because Night Sorrow's idea was feasible. Also, let's discuss who's going and who's not. My personal suggestion is that you can go, but you can't leave Star Moon Island unless you're a high-level king because the risk is too high, Night Sorrow said. Okay, then we'll go prepare. We'll prepare the materials from the 3 realms of the chaotic realm and send them over to build the city, Tang Jianfeng suggested. Then let's start preparing. Regarding the construction of the city, I'll leave it to you, Heaven Lords, Night Sorrow said. What about you? Datura asked with a smile. She was relieved that Night Sorrow was safe. My original body is cultivating, and my clone is traveling the world. Since we've entered the celestial realm, we naturally have to integrate into the celestial realm. Level 9 is a blank for us. We lack cultivation methods, alchemy methods, and refining methods. We need to get them, Night Sorrow said. Datura didn't say anything else. She was relieved that Night Sorrow's original body was cultivating while his clone was traveling. At the very least, Wuyo's life was at stake. After the family banquet, under everyone's impatient mood, Yishang led a group of people and teleported to the heaven realm. After arriving at the heaven realm, everyone felt it for a while. Everyone felt different. This place is not bad. Let's stabilize and develop first. Building the city is not a problem, but the defense formation is difficult. We can set up the formation of the Heaven Lord realm, but it can't stop the attack of the Imperial Realm cultivators, Yuandao Heaven Lord said. The Imperial Realm cultivators can't attack us like that, right? Let's set it at the Heaven Lord realm first and then slowly study it, Night Sorrow said. Everyone else nodded. Things were already developing in a good direction. After the discussion, the plan to build the city was set. Night Sorrow, what do you plan to do next? Datura asked. Become an Imperial Realm cultivator as soon as possible. Only then will we have the capital to establish ourselves. Everyone has been a Heaven Lord for many years and has accumulated enough experience. Let's all try to work hard, Night Sorrow looked at the group and said. Finally, his gaze fell on Datura. In Night Sorrow's heart, Datura was the most likely person to become an Imperial Realm cultivator. All right. Don't worry about the construction here. We will take care of it, Tang Jianfeng said. My original body is cultivating. You may not be able to contact him. If anything happens, immediately inform my clone in the Heaven Ceiling Grand Hall. I will know what is going on, Night Sorrow said. After the arrangements were made, Night Sorrow took out a tent and brewed a pot of tea. He thought about the next step. Night Sorrow was confident that there was no problem with his foundation. What he needed now was comprehension. Night Sorrow's original body was cultivating in many aspects. He was comprehending the destruction will, the space-time will, and the battle intent and force. Night Sorrow also had some understanding of entering the imperial realm. It was the mastery of the force of heaven and earth. Battle intent and killing intent were the embryonic forms of force. Of course, this was different from King's will. Attribute will and battle intent were completely different concepts. Battle intent and killing intent were forces themselves. It was just that one's force was different from the force of heaven and earth. Datura's clone accompanied Night Sorrow while his original body stopped cultivating and went to the dark abyss to make arrangements. In addition, the Qing Emperor and the others' original bodies stayed on Star Moon Island while their clones went to the Star Moon Lake to scout. If there were suitable construction resources, they could use them locally. Groups of people came from the Chaos Realm. However, they were all the core members of the major forces and the Qing Emperor's dynasty's craftsmen. After everything started, Night Sorrow planned to leave. He wanted to take a look around. He had a lot of resources. If there was an auction, he could participate. In addition, Night Sorrow planned to join the God-Fiend Castle. The God-Fiend Castle was a force of the Union. In terms of influence, it surpassed all the top forces. Its existence was comparable to the Tianji Tower in the Nine Regions world. However, it was more mysterious. They could accept all kinds of missions, resource missions, hunting missions, and so on. Every member had a code name. No one knew who the true master of the God-Fiend Castle was. A monarch had once been killed by the God-Fiend Castle. As long as you could pay a sufficient price, you could even kill a monarch. This was the God-Fiend Castle. It fully displayed the law of the jungle. Chapter 1533. However, there were some restrictions on joining the God-Devil Castle. Only cultivators above the monarch level could join. King-level people didn't even want to join. Night Sorrow didn't tell anyone about this mainly because he didn't want them to feel pressured and worry about him. Besides, Night Sorrow wasn't afraid of anything. If the monarch could survive in the God-Devil Castle, he naturally wouldn't have a problem. As long as it wasn't an emperor, he was confident that he could fight. If it was a rookie emperor, Night Sorrow wasn't afraid at all. After scouting the surroundings of Star Moon Lake again and taking a look at the tent's construction, Night Sorrow left. Once he decided on something, he would do it without hesitation. This was Night Sorrow's character. When he reached Greenwater City, Night Sorrow took the teleportation array to Ethereal Imperial City. There were people guarding the teleportation array in Ethereal Imperial City, but they were very imposing. They didn't ask Night Sorrow anything. Because of what? Because he was confident. If anyone was looking for trouble, he would kill them. There was no need to warn them or inform them of the rules. If they broke the rules, he would kill them. It was that simple and domineering. Yi Shang went to an inn and stayed for a while before heading to the God-Fiend Castle. He wanted to ask about it in detail. Some time ago, he only understood the situation of the God-Devil Castle from the handbook. He wasn't clear about the details. If the conditions were harsh, then he didn't have to join. When he arrived at the God-Devil Castle, Night Sorrow was led in by the service staff. Then, he was asked what mission he wanted. He took out the mission and submitted it for evaluation. "Hello, I am here to ask about the conditions of joining the God-Devil Castle," Night Sorrow said. "Okay, please wait a moment." This woman who looked to be in her 30s but was already a high-level king said. With her cultivation, she was only a staff member hired by the God-Devil Castle. This woman went to a room and took a form. "You can fill in the form or not. I will pass it to the higher-ups and they will make the decision." Holding the form, Night Sorrow took a look at it. He wrote Heaven Monarch in the cultivation column and 170 years old in the age column. Other than that, he didn't write his name or background. Originally, Night Sorrow only wanted to write his cultivation level and nothing else. However, he felt that there would be an advantage if he wrote his age. Besides, he wouldn't be able to hide his age during the examination. Looking at the form filled by night sorrow, the woman's expression changed. A 170-year-old heaven monarch was too terrifying, and she had never heard of such a person. There was no such precedent. After taking the form, the woman told Night Sorrow to wait for her before she left. The God-Devil Castle had strict requirements when it came to accepting people. It didn't mean that the sovereigns and heaven monarchs would be accepted by the God-Devil Castle. It also depended on one's ability. Those with high cultivation but low battle strength were considered trash in the eyes of the God-Devil Castle. While waiting, Night Sorrow noticed 2 strands of soul power sweep past him. Night Sorrow only turned his head to glance at them before continuing to wait. At this moment, the woman who received him appeared in front of Night Sorrow. "The elder wants to see you. Just answer whatever he asks you," the woman said. Night Sorrow nodded and was brought into a secret room by the woman. Following which, the woman bowed and left. Seeing a chair, Night Sorrow sat down. At this moment, the wall opposite Night Sorrow rose. 2 elders appeared and sat opposite Night Sorrow. 170 years old. "That's about right," a green-robed elder said. "I am Nalan, the elder of Ethereal City's God-Devil Castle. I have some questions for you. You can answer them or not. However, whether the God-Devil Castle will accept you or not still needs to be discussed," the other white-robed elder with a bronze mask on his face said. "Elder, please ask." "If it's convenient for me, I will answer," Night Sorrow said. "Let's not talk about your battle strength. Just based on the fact that you reached the Heaven Monarch realm before the age of 200, you will be treated well no matter which faction you join. Why did you choose the God-Devil Castle? You have to know that accepting a mission from the God-Devil Castle is a life-and-death struggle," Elder Nalan said. "Because I don't want to be restrained. I don't want to do things according to the wishes of others. I'm willing to preserve my dignity and take risks." "I'm willing to take risks," Night Sorrow said. This was what Night Sorrow wanted to say. "Very good. In addition, I have another question. Where are you from? What family, clan or sect are you from? Can you answer me?" Elder Nalan asked again. "I'm not from the celestial realm. Seniors, you can treat me as a native who has never seen the world. I just plan on using the platform of the God-Devil Castle to fight for a future," Night Sorrow answered. "Alright, you can take the test. As long as you pass, you can become a member of the God-Devil Castle." Elder Nalan was rather satisfied with Night Sorrow's answer. "Wait. I still want to know what requirements the God-Devil Castle has for me," Night Sorrow asked. This was a crucial question and what Night Sorrow cared about the most. "I thought you already knew, so I didn't say anything. Now, let's talk about it. First, you have to swear a heavenly oath. You can't reveal anything about the God-Devil Castle. Second, if you fail the mission, you have to leave the God-Devil Castle. In other words, the God-Devil Castle doesn't have any members who fail the mission," Elder Nalan said. "There's no oath that you can't betray the God-Devil Castle or that you have to take action when the God-Devil Castle is in danger." Night Sorrow asked in surprise. "It seems like you're telling the truth. You really came from somewhere else. The God-Devil Castle isn't afraid of betrayal because there's only one outcome for betrayers. In addition, the God-Devil Castle is in danger. If our God-Devil Castle is in danger, the people above can resolve it. We don't need ordinary members to take action," another elder said. "I'm confident. Also, if there's a day when I don't want to stay in the God-Devil Castle, can I leave?" Night Sorrow muttered before asking again. "A member of your level can leave at any time. Of course, when you have the qualifications to raise your status, the corresponding rules will also be informed," Elder Nalan said. "Okay. I accept the test." Night Sorrow stood up. He admired the style of the God-Devil castle. It was domineering and didn't make things difficult for their members. Okay, follow us. The two elders stood up and walked towards the secret room in front. Night Sorrow followed behind them. It was a slanted passage that went deep underground. Underground castle. Night Sorrow discovered that he had entered an underground castle. This was the inside of the God-Devil castle. Original. Elder Naylan and another elder brought Night Sorrow to a large black iron door. The God-Devil castle doesn't want trash. This is your test. If you pass, you'll be a member of the God-Devil castle. If you fail, you'll die. Do you want to enter? The elder beside Elder Naylan, who didn't reveal his identity, said. Enter. Night Sorrow didn't hesitate at all. He was never afraid of any test. Young man, I'll explain the situation to you. There are 4 battle puppets inside. Fighting with them is a test for you, Elder Naylan said. Okay, open the door. Night Sorrow nodded. The black door rose halfway and Night Sorrow entered. Naylan, why didn't you say that the results of the test are related to status? The other elder looked at Elder Naylan and asked. Speak. First watch. Chapter 1534. Let's go watch first. After Elder Naylan finished speaking, he went to a room on the side of the black iron door. The walls were made of transparent crystals, allowing him to see everything about Night Sorrow. It's not very appropriate if you don't say anything. The old man with Elder Naylan said. He was another elder, Lang Lai. This little guy is very smart. If we tell him, he'll only want to pass. He won't try his best and hide his abilities. Elder Naylan said. A 170-year-old heavenly monarch. Even if his combat ability is a bit lacking, he still has potential. I wonder where he came from. Lang Lai reached out and touched the mask on his face. At that moment, after Night Sorrow entered the black iron door, he reached out and pulled out Splitter from his back. He then probed ahead. A small spatial world. Night Sorrow probed for a moment. Then, his face was filled with astonishment. The inside of a door was a space. This was too shocking. It also indirectly illustrated the strength of the God-Fiend castle. While Night Sorrow was probing, 4 black metallic lifeforms flew over and surrounded Night Sorrow. After surrounding him, they attacked. The metallic lifeforms didn't show any mercy with their sabers. Night Sorrow charged forward and lashed out with Splitter. Then, he kicked out with his right foot and attacked the second puppet. With an explosive sound, the puppet in front of Night Sorrow was sent flying. The puppet that was kicked by Night Sorrow also couldn't help but retreat. Using the rebounding force, Night Sorrow pulled back and lashed out at the metallic life form behind him. With an explosive sound, the puppet was repelled. At that moment, Night Sorrow sped up. Splitter used space-twisting dragon kill and attacked the puppet's forehead. The puppet quickly retreated. The other 3 rushed up and attacked Night Sorrow. Punching and kicking, he blocked the attacks of the 3 metallic lifeforms. Night Sorrow's right hand quickly attacked with Splitter, attacking the target puppet. After 2 consecutive attacks, the target puppet's energy was shaken into chaos. Night Sorrow used Speed 1. With the support of the space-time will, Night Sorrow's attack seemed to pass through space and directly stab the target's forehead. After stabbing half a foot in, a green light appeared between the puppet's eyebrows, forcing Night Sorrow to retreat. While Night Sorrow was still in shock, the puppet withdrew from the battle. Clearly, it had been defeated. The remaining 3 were even easier for Night Sorrow to deal with. His left hand punched out, and his legs kicked out, blocking the attacks of 2 puppets. His right hand Samsara grabbed a target and violently attacked. Strength? How? You don't need to use your trump card. Just show your speed and strength and you'll pass, Lenglai said. Nalan nodded as well. It was impossible to tell what Night Sorrow was capable of in this kind of battle. Night Sorrow was just blocking the interference and then grabbing a target to kill. There was no need for him to use any of his trump cards. After a while, the 4 puppets stopped moving. Night Sorrow turned his head and looked at the door behind him. Passing the test meant that he could leave. Nalan and Lenglai looked at each other. The two left the viewing area and opened the test space's door. Seniors, did I pass? Night Sorrow's arm shook, and Space Breaker fell into the trap. He then asked. Yes, let's talk in the lounge, Nalan said. Night Sorrow nodded and followed him into a lounge in the underground castle. After Nalan brewed the tea, he told Night Sorrow that he had passed the God-Devil Castle's inspection. As long as he didn't reveal the secrets of the God-Devil Castle, he would be a member of the God-Devil Castle. Night Sorrow got up and swore on the celestial realm's origin. Welcome, I'm Nalan. You can call me Elder Nalan. This is Elder Lenglai. We're both elders of the Divine Devil Castle in Ethereal City. This is your token, and this is the communication crystal you use to accept missions. Nalan took out a golden crystal and a token. Wait, I didn't ask for your name, and you didn't tell me either. But a code name is necessary. What code name do you need? Lenglai looked at Night Sorrow and said. Shang, Night Sorrow said one word. Lenglai looked at Night Sorrow, then took the golden token and slid his finger on it. The word Shang appeared on it. Asterisk look at the original version. Then Nalan introduced some more information. When Night Sorrow was needed to perform a mission, the crystal token would light up and Night Sorrow could come here. In addition, every time a mission was completed, there would be a reward point. Points could be exchanged for any resource. Any resource? Night Sorrow's eyes lit up. Of course. For example, the famous 9 Revolutions mysterious art. For example, Imperial weapons and armor. Of course, the 9 Revolutions mysterious art can't be exchanged for even with the points you've accumulated for billions of years, Lenglai said. The resources aren't necessarily good. It's the right ones that are important, Night Sorrow said. Young man, you're right. Don't put the crystal token in the storage treasure. As long as it lights up, come here. This is the list of resources in the Divine Devil Castle. It also has the exchange requirements. Take it. Lenglai glanced at Night Sorrow and threw a thick booklet to Night Sorrow. The missions aren't chosen by myself. Night Sorrow was stunned after receiving the booklet. No, it's distributed in the castle. The missions will be given to whoever is suitable, Nalan said. Understood. Night Sorrow cupped his hands. Okay, that's it, Nalan said. I want to take more missions that are suitable. In addition, I'll do everything I need to do. Please don't investigate me, Night Sorrow said after standing up. No, the Divine Devil Castle doesn't need it. If you leak the secret, the World Origin will take care of you. If you don't leak the secret, the Divine Devil Castle won't do anything to you. This is one of the characteristics of the Divine Devil Castle. Nalan nodded at Night Sorrow. Okay, I need a mission. After emphasizing the point again, Night Sorrow stood up. I'll inform you if there's a mission. In addition, the Divine Devil Castle will eliminate anyone who investigates the identity of our members. Opponents can kill members of the Divine Devil Castle, but they won't investigate or try to reveal the identity. That's suicide. However, you have to protect your identity. Lenglai threw a mask to Night Sorrow. Thanks. I have my own mask. Night Sorrow took out his silver mask with flames on it of the young master of the Tianji Tower and waved his hand. Then, he left the lounge. Today's mission had been successfully completed. After Night Sorrow put on the mask, he left the Divine Devil Castle and went to the inn to stay. his original body was now working hard to cultivate. His clone was responsible for resources and some communication with the outside world. Leng Lai, what do you think of this Shang? Nalan looked at Leng Lai and asked. He has a deep background. He's a Lord of Heaven who's less than 200 years old. Moreover, he's a Lord of Heaven with strength. We know the situation of those 4 puppets, Leng Lai said. Leng Lai said. The second update has arrived. It's a good day. I love you all. Thank you for always being with me. In addition, some people misunderstood what I said yesterday. I didn't say that the book was ending. It was just the beginning of the 3rd volume.